Chapter 3081. Duan Yes visit After the Genius Feast ended, Jian Wushuang and the others left the Jade Dragon Mystic Realm. Jian Wushuang, Jiu Luo, and Bai Xiao were flying side by side in the vast void. Brother Heavenly Marquis, it shouldn't be difficult for you to defeat Duan Yu with your strength. Why did you deliberately lose to him in the end? Jiu Luo asked. He also saw that Jian Wushuang had deliberately lost to Duan Yu. There's no meaning in defeating him, Jian Wushuang said directly. Jiu Luo shrugged but did not say anything. Bai Xiao and the others were secretly communicating with each other. I have already sent a message to Senior Brother Xiong Tao, but Senior Brother Xiong Tao hasn't replied to me. What should I do now? The red-haired man said. Who knows? I've already done as Master instructed. I don't care what the result is, Bai Xiao said. They were also helpless. They wanted to test Jian Wushuang's true strength, but unfortunately, they could not find any opportunity. At this moment, bush, three figures suddenly rushed over from the distant void. Stop! A low shout suddenly echoed between the heaven and earth. Jian Wushuang and the others immediately stopped and turned to look. The leader of the three was a young man with a half-moon-like face. He was Duan Yu, who had won the first place in the Genius Feast and was famous in the third heaven. As for the other two, their auras were so strong that they had reached the level of a rank 4 true saint. They should be the two experts sent by the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion to follow Duan Yu and protect him. Duan Yu and the other two also stopped in front of Jian Wushuang and the others. Duan Yu's eyes were fixed on Jian Wushuang. What's the matter? Jian Wushuang asked. Of course, Duan Yu said in a low voice. Your name is Heavenly Sword Marquis, right? Let me ask you, when you fought with me, did you stop at the last moment? Yes. Jian Wushuang did not deny it. He fought with Duan Yu and stopped at the last moment. If Duan Yu did not see it, he would be extremely stupid. Why? Duan Yu asked coldly. I will stop if I want to. Jian Wushuang said. Good, very good. Duan Yu clenched his teeth. Heavenly Sword Marquis, although I won the first place in this year's Genius Feast, I always have a thorn in my heart. This thorn is you. That's why I specially came here. Let's fight again. This time, both of us should not hold back and use all of our strength. What do you think? You still want to fight? Jian Wushuang looked at Duan Yu with a strange expression. Do you think it's necessary? Of course. Although I know you stopped at the last moment, I wouldn't be satisfied if I didn't lose to you. Besides, I was a bit careless before. Otherwise, your swordsmanship might not be able to suppress me, Duan Yu said in a low voice. Oh. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and then smiled. Well, since you're not satisfied, then you and I will fight again. Let's fight here. This time, it's your turn to fight first. Jian Wushuang flipped his hand and took out the Blood Mountain sword. Okay, Duan Yu responded. Immediately, a surging aura rose from his body. At the same time, dense purple thunderbolts burst out, forming a thunder hell in the surrounding void. Seeing that Duan Yu and Jian Wushuang were going to fight again, Bai Xiao, Jiu Luo, and the others immediately retreated to the side. Kill! With a fierce shout, Duan Yu directly turned into a purple thunderbolt and shot out. A saber light suddenly slashed out, like a purple thunderbolt, and instantly cut through Jian Wushuang's divine body. However, the saber light did not touch Jian Wushuang's divine body at all. What? Duan Yu was shocked, but his pupils suddenly shrank. He was surprised to see Jian Wushuang appear beside him, and at the same time, Jian Wushuang also attacked. It was a cold and beautiful sword shadow that felt like a dream. The sword light was calm and indifferent. It swung out from Jian Wushuang's hand and then directly cut toward Duan Yu's arm. Wushuang's sword manual, Star Dream. This sword was too fast. Duan Yu did not have time to react. The sword light had already swept over his right arm. A terrifying cutting power burst out, and his entire arm was chopped off in an instant. You lost. Jian Wushuang's figure had already appeared behind Duan Yu, and his calm voice was transmitted over. Duan Yu, on the other hand, widened his eyes and looked stunned. Bai Xiao and the others in the void could not help but sigh when they saw this scene. So powerful! The red-haired man exclaimed. Yes, it's very powerful. His sword, although its speed is not as fast as when he defeated me, the cutting power contained in it is too strong. Duan Yu is the #1 genius of the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion. His life-saving skills are very strong, and the armor he wears is of a very high level. However, his sword actually tore through the armor and cut off Duan Ye's arm. Bai Xiao also praised. If he can cut off Duan Ye's arm, he can also cut off Duan Ye's head. Previously, I thought that Heavenly Sword Marquis swordsmanship was just a little better. If both sides did not hold back and fought with all their strength, I might be able to fight with him or even defeat him by relying on my divine power or secret skill. But now it seems that even if I go all out, I'm still no match for him. I might even be defeated by his sword. Duan Yu was completely stunned. He knew that Jian Wushuang had stopped at a critical moment, but he did not think that his strength was inferior to Jian Wushuang. After all, he had been careless and did not use all of his strength in the previous battle. Therefore, he was unwilling to give up, so he came to find Jian Wushuang in order to defeat him face to face. But who would have thought that the result would be like this? How could he be so strong? Duan Yu could not understand. He was already the first place in this year's Genius Feast. If nothing unexpected happened, he would definitely be able to join the heaven-cleaving 3 palaces or the Tao Palace. He was definitely one of the top geniuses in the divine beginning world. But now, he was already stunned by Jian Wushuang's sword, while Duan Yu was still in a daze. Your swordsmanship is not bad. A deep voice suddenly sounded. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and found a 3-meter-tall, stocky, brown-haired man who had appeared in the void beside them. Senior brother Xiong Tao. Seeing this person, Bai Xiao and the 3 geniuses from the Tao Palace were overjoyed. Jian Wushuang also glanced at this man and then smiled faintly. Are you finally going to show up? You found me? Xiong Tao stared at Jian Wushuang. Of course. Jian Wushuang nodded. Chapter 3082. Xiong Tao. After coming out of the Jade Dragon Mystic Realm, Jian Wushuang had already noticed that there was someone following behind him. However, this person had not shown up, so Jian Wushuang did not alarm him. And now, this person, Xiong Tao, had finally shown up. Bai Xiao and the others call you senior brother. Does that mean that you are also from the Tao Palace? Jian Wushuang looked at Xiong Tao. Yes. Xiong Tao nodded. Mr. Heaven Marquis. Bai Xiao immediately said, Senior brother Xiong Tao is the strongest rank 1 true saint in our Tao Palace. Even in the entire Tao Palace, his talent is one of the best. Oh! Jian Wushuang's expression could not help but change. The Tao Palace was full of monsters. There were probably many monsters at the rank 1 true saint level, but Xiong Tao was called the strongest. His talent and strength were naturally outstanding. Jian Wushuang was indeed not interested in ordinary geniuses. Not to mention Duan Yu, even Mountain King, the Evil Master, and the others whom he had met in the White Bone region could not stir up any emotions in his heart. However, the appearance of Xiong Tao made Jian Wushuang a little interested. Do you want to fight with me? Jian Wushuang looked at Xiong Tao calmly. Originally is not much interest, but just saw you a sword defeated Duan Yu. That swordsmanship makes my eyes light up, so I just show up. Xiong Tao said. In that case, let's do it. I also want to know how strong the strongest first-rank true saint is in Tao Palace. Jian Wushuang said with a smile. I won't let you down. As Xiong Tao spoke, he slowly lowered his arms, which he had been hugging the whole time. Then, with a flip of his palm, a 3-meter-long golden long rod appeared in his hand. At the same time, a faint murderous aura appeared, also slowly rose from the body of Xiong Tao. Brother Xiong Tao, it's time to make a move. Previously, they were worried that Xiong Tao might not want to fight Jian Wushuang, but now it seemed that they were overthinking. Of course, this was all thanks to Duan Yu. If Duan Yu had not shown Jian Wushuang some strength, Xiong Tao would not have been interested in Jian Wushuang. Seeing Xiong Tao take out his magic weapon, Jian Wushuang also took out the Blood Mountain sword. A divine power aura also swept out from his body. Be careful. Xiong Tao reminded him, but his body suddenly moved. It was fine if he did not move, but when he moved, boom. The fierce aura from Xiong Tao suddenly increased by dozens, hundreds of times. Jian Wushuang felt that it was not a human cultivator but a living ancient beast that was charging at him. It was the first time Jian Wushuang had seen such a strong murderous aura. Xiong Tao appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. He held the golden long stick with both hands, and the brutal power surged into the long stick. Boom! Boom! A violent boom sounded, as if the mountain was collapsing and the earth was cracking. The golden stick shadow formed by the golden long stick smashed toward Jian Wushuang's head in a vast and mighty manner. The stick shadow had not arrived yet, but the power coming from the long stick made Jian Wushuang raise his head involuntarily. Not bad. Just from this stick alone, it seems to be much more powerful than the 3 original palace geniuses I met in the White Bone region. Jian Wushuang smiled and suddenly swung his right arm. An equally shocking evil aura suddenly swept across. A deep, angry roar suddenly came from the heaven and earth. Jian Wushuang also swung his sword, but the instant he did so, the sword light directly turned into a complete and huge ancient exotic beast. This ancient exotic beast was extremely ferocious, and its evil aura soared to the sky. It carried a shocking power as it directly attacked the golden staff shadow. Bang! A loud sound shook the heaven and earth. The divine power formed a series of shock waves that crazily swept in all directions. Jian Wushuang and Xiong Tao were both sent flying at the same time. An absolute art at the peak of rank 4? Xiong Tao stared at Jian Wushuang with a gleam in his eyes. Haha, isn't yours the same? Jian Wushuang laughed heartily. When the two exchanged blows, both sides could see that the other party was using an absolute art at the peak of rank 4, and both were proficient in strength and power. Even their first exchange of divine power was about the same, so the result of this collision was surprisingly equal. Humph! With a cold snort, Xiong Tao stepped forward again. Golden snake stick. A stick shadow, like a long golden snake, suddenly darted toward Jian Wushuang's chest. Jian Wushuang waved his arm, and the blood mountain sword directly chopped at the center of the long golden snake. However, the long golden snake strangely swayed and swept toward Jian Wushuang's head again. Interesting. Jian Wushuang also immediately moved to block it. Clang, 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 clang. A low collision sound in the void one after another sounded. The two of the rules of understanding are extremely high, speed, movement are also extremely good. Jian Wushuang's swordsmanship was very strong, but Xiong Tao's stick skill was not weak either. This exchange reached a white-hot stage in an instant. In the blink of an eye, the two men have confronted each other no less than dozens of times. My golden snake staff is like a snake. My soul is incomparably fast, but this person is actually able to keep up with my speed and block all of my staff techniques. Xiong Tao's gaze turned cold. He was still using the golden snake staff, but at the same time, the strength in his hands began to increase. That's right, from the start, Xiong Tao had been holding back his strength. He had only used the power of the Divine Power King, an ordinary rank 1 true saint. However, for a super genius like him, the power of his divine power had long surpassed that of his peers. Previously, he had only wanted to rely on his staff skill to defeat Jian Wushuang. However, when he realized that he could not do so, he naturally wanted to use his advantage in the power of his divine power. Boom, boom. The same staff shadow was used, but as Xiong Tao used more divine power, the staff shadow became stronger. Bang, 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 bang. They fought again and again, but the two sides were still evenly matched. I have used nearly 20% of my strength, but I still don't have the slightest advantage? Xiong Tao frowned slightly, but the strength in his hands continued to increase. 30%, 40%. In just a short moment, Xiong Tao had already used 50% of his strength. His 50% strength was already above the divine power of a peak stage rank 2 true saint, but in the end, he still doesn't have the slightest advantage. While I'm constantly increasing my strength, he's also increasing his own strength. Xiong Tao's eyes carried a trace of shock. After a long while, he finally did not hold back at all. Bang! a terrifying divine might suddenly erupted. Xiong Tao's divine power, which was far more tyrannical than that of his peers, finally completely erupted. Chapter 3083, Special Life Form, the first one is here. The world shook. Xiong Tao had turned into a prehistoric beast and appeared in front of Jian Wushuang in a flash. The long staff came crashing down. A golden staff shadow rapidly enlarged in the void, crushing the void in a mighty way, as if the void was about to be completely crushed. The terrifying divine power swept out without restraint. Jian Wushuang immediately saw that the power burst out by Xiong Tao had definitely reached the level of a third-rank true saint. Seeing this, Jian Wushuang smiled coldly, and then his divine power suddenly increased, and he directly slashed out with his blood mountain sword. Bang! A crisp air explosion sounded, as if the world was about to explode completely. At the place where Jian Wushuang and Xiong Tao were fighting, a terrifying shock wave swept out crazily in all directions, and a huge divine power storm suddenly formed. The two figures also retreated explosively once again. This time, they were still evenly matched. How is this possible? Xiong Tao's face was full of shock. If he was evenly matched with Jian Wushuang in the beginning because he had not shown his true strength, then now he had gone all out and unleashed the power of his divine power to the maximum. The power of his divine power was comparable to that of a rank 3 true saint, but he still could not gain an advantage in front of Jian Wushuang. It seems that I have underestimated you. Xiong Tao's body trembled slightly. He was excited, and his eyes shone with an unprecedented light. Heavenly Sword Marquis, I didn't expect that not only your swordsmanship is very strong, but your divine power is also so powerful. Although there are countless geniuses in the Dao Palace, none of them can compare to you. Thank you for your compliment. You're not bad either, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. He was telling the truth. Xiong Tao was definitely the strongest and most terrifying first-rank true saint he had ever seen. Mountain King and the other two whom he had met in the White Bone region were far inferior to Xiong Tao. If I'm not wrong, you haven't fully displayed your strength yet. Jian Wushuang looked at Xiong Tao. Smart. Xiong Tao grinned. Since I entered the Dao Palace, I haven't used my full strength for a long time. But today, I met you, Heavenly Sword Marquis. You should be glad that you are the first cultivator of the same level to force me to reveal my true form. Xiong Tao's words echoed between heaven and earth. As soon as he finished his words, his body began to change. Originally, Xiong Tao looked like a strong man who was nearly 3 meters tall. However, at this moment, his divine body began to expand at an astonishing speed, from 3 meters tall to 10 meters tall. At the same time, his body began to swell crazily, and his skin turned from dark to golden. The golden skin was like pieces of golden rocks, covering every corner of Xiong Tao's divine body. This is... Jian Wushuang frowned and looked at Xiong Tao. It's not a human, but a beast? No, it's not a beast. Jian Wushuang shook his head violently. Its aura and feeling are completely different from that of a beast. This feeling is unique. It's a special life form. A fierce light flashed in Jian Wushuang's eyes. The divine beginning world was vast and boundless. In the divine beginning world, there were all kinds of creatures, such as humans, exotic beasts, dire beasts, and so on. At the same time, there were also some races with unique bloodlines, such as the 4 great divine races, who stood at the top of the divine beginning world. The 4 great divine races had very high bloodlines, and their innate advantages were much greater than that of humans and ordinary exotic beasts. However, the 4 divine races were not the ones with the greatest innate advantage in the divine beginning world. The ones with the greatest innate advantage were the unique special life forms in the divine beginning world. These special life forms were born special and different from the rest. There was basically only one type of life form in the entire divine beginning world. Like Jian Wushuang, he was a perfect chaos creature. To put it bluntly, he was also a type of special life form. However, he was the most supreme among the special life forms. Even the will of the heavenly Tao was extremely fearful of him. Although other special life forms could not be compared to perfect chaotic gods, They were much stronger than those with special bloodlines and races. However, such special life forms were too rare. They were rare in the divine beginning world. Although Jian Wushuang had heard of them before, he had never seen them before. But now, he had seen them for real. Xiong Tao was undoubtedly a special life form. No wonder his divine power is so powerful. Special life forms have a huge innate advantage. Although he is only a rank 1 true saint, his divine power is no less than an ordinary rank 3 true saint. Jian Wushuang praised, however, it was normal when he thought about it. Although there were not many special life forms in the divine beginning world, the Tao Palace was where all the geniuses of the divine beginning world gathered. It was normal to have 1 or 2 special life forms. Bai Xiao and the others who were watching the battle in the void were excited when they saw the changes in Xiong Tao's divine body. There was a rumor in the Tao Palace that senior brother Xiong Tao had an extremely unique bloodline. There was even a rumor that he was a unique special life form in the world. No one had seen it before, so everyone doubted the rumor. But now, it seems that the rumor is true. Bai Xiao exclaimed in surprise. Special life forms, even the lowest level special life forms, have an innate advantage that is much stronger than some powerful bloodline races. Although senior brother Xiong Tao is only a first-level true saint, because of the special life forms, his divine power is at least comparable to a peak second-level true saint, or even a third-level true saint. If we combine this with some secret techniques that are unique to the Tao Palace to increase the power of his divine power, senior brother Xiong Tao's divine power will definitely reach the peak of the 3rd rank in a short period of time, even approaching the level of a 4th rank true saint. And the staff technique that senior brother Xiong Tao created has already reached the peak of the 4th rank. The red-haired man, the black-robed youth, and the beautiful woman in golden armor widened their eyes. They knew that Xiong Tao was very strong, but they did not know how strong he was because they were not qualified to fight with him. But now they finally understood. Monster, senior brother Xiong Tao is definitely a real monster. The 4 people were growling in their hearts. At this moment, as soon as Xiong Tao revealed his true form, his aura surged again. His eyes were cold as he stared at Jian Wushuang. Next, I will use my strongest strength. In addition, I will also use my strongest staff skill. You can try your best to block it. If you can't block it, just say the word and I will stop immediately. Chapter 3084. Full power _ stop immediately? No need, just show me whatever you have. I hope you can give me a surprise. Jian Wushuang looked at Xiong Tao expectantly. Until now, he was really excited. This kind of excitement rarely appeared on cultivators of the same level. This was the first time in his life. As you wish. Xiong Tao spoke softly, but his eyes turned completely cold in the next moment. Golden Mountain Staff. Boom. Xiong Tao struck out with the staff. It was a golden long staff, but at this moment, the golden long staff was wildly enlarged. In the blink of an eye, it formed a towering golden mountain. This golden mountain contained a terrifying power. The moment it was smashed out, the surrounding people, including Bai Xiao, were all shocked. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly and burst out his divine power. The Blood Mountain sword turned into a blood-red thunderbolt. Bang! With a loud sound, the golden mountain was sent flying. It's not over yet. The second strike. Xiong Tao shouted in a low voice, and the lofty golden mountain, which was sent flying, struck fiercely again. In terms of speed and power, it was much stronger than the first strike. Oh! Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. Interesting. Bang, 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 bang. The golden long stick turned into a towering golden mountain and smashed at Jian Wushuang again and again. The power of the long stick became stronger and stronger each time. When it reached the 7th stick, the power contained in the towering golden mountain had definitely reached the level of a rank 4 true saint. However, as the long staff struck out again, the power continued to surge. Haha, awesome again. Jian Wushuang let out a wanton laugh. The strength in his hand continued to increase as he collided with the golden long staff again and again. The 8th staff, the 9th staff, the 10th staff. In the blink of an eye, Jian Wushuang and Xiong Tao had collided 13 times, and Xiong Tao had also used the 13th staff. The power contained in the golden long staff had long frightened Bai Shao and the others. Even the 2 rank 4 true saints behind Duan Yu were shocked. Is this really the power of a rank 1 true saint? A purple-haired elder among the 2 rank 4 true saints could not help exclaiming. Yes, it was indeed unleashed by a rank 1 true saint. However, this power is too strong, too strong. The other rank 4 true saint. It was a thin and weak-looking woman dressed in black. The eyes of this woman also flickered with thick shock. I am a genuine rank 4 true saint after all. Moreover, I came from the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion, so my techniques aren't weak. However, the staff technique that Xiong Tao is using right now actually makes me feel like I can't resist it. I have the same feeling. The purple-haired elder nodded heavily. Xiong Tao's staff technique is continuously accumulating power over and over again. When he collides head-on with his opponent, he can also continuously increase the power of his staff technique. The first staff technique that he used previously and the 13th staff technique that he's using now are 2 completely different concepts. I can easily block that first staff technique, but when it comes to the 13th staff technique, even if I use all my strength to display my strongest move, I might not be able to match this power. However, if I were to really fight with him, I would definitely not give him the chance to display the 13th staff. Yes, although his staff technique is powerful, if he had observed the characteristics of the staff technique in advance and used brute force to break his staff technique earlier, he would not have been able to display the 13th staff. However, the Heavenly Sword Marquis who is fighting with him, the Heavenly Sword Marquis should have also noticed the uniqueness of Xiong Tao's staff technique. However, he didn't do that from the beginning to the end. Instead, he allowed Xiong Tao's staff technique to gather strength and increase its power. The most terrifying thing is that even though Xiong Tao's staff technique has already gathered the strength to the 13th staff technique, and even we couldn't block it, he was able to block it head-on? The 2 rank 4 true saints looked at each other in shock. They were shocked by Xiong Tao's staff skills, but they were even more shocked by Jian Wushuang. Even they did not dare to let Xiong Tao continue accumulating strength, but Jian Wushuang dared to block it head-on? How terrifying was this? Look, Xiong Tao has used the 14th staff skill again. The purple-haired elder suddenly exclaimed. In the center of the battlefield, after Jian Wushuang received Xiong Tao's 13th move, Xiong Tao immediately used the 14th move again. Boom! Boom! The heaven and earth began to shake wildly as if they could not withstand the power contained in the golden long stick. Boom! With a loud sound, the golden long stick fell down instantly. Endless power surged toward Jian Wushuang in an instant. Jian Wushuang's eyes sparkled. With a whoosh, the Blood Mountain sword slashed out in anger. Bang! It was another fierce confrontation, and this time, Jian Wushuang was sent flying from the front. After a while, he stopped again, but his aura was still very stable. Awesome again! Jian Wushuang shouted excitedly. Xiong Tao's aura had reached the extreme of violence. His eyes were bloodshot. At the same time, golden veins bulged on his body, and his huge body looked terrifying. Buzz buzz buzz. Endless divine power, accompanied by a violent aura, gathered again toward the golden long staff in his hand. 15th. Xiong Tao roared hysterically. Boom! The void between heaven and earth was blasted open, and a large amount of air retreated to both sides. A golden staff shadow fell mercilessly. Everything in the world trembled under this strike. Even the 2 rank 4 true saints of Fatty Zhou had a trace of fear in their eyes when they saw this strike. Seeing this strike, Jian Wushuang's excitement had reached its peak, and he did not hold back any of his powerful divine power. As a perfect chaotic creature, although he was only a rank 1 true saint, his divine power was already comparable to or even stronger than that of a peak rank 3 true saint. At this moment, the terrifying divine power surged toward the Blood Mountain sword in his hand. Jian Wushuang struck out with his sword. Hua! The sword light slashed furiously, and in an instant, a thick beast roar sounded in heaven and earth. It was the Peerless Sword Manual, Shixiang. It was the most powerful sword skill among the 7 moves of the Peerless Sword Manual that Jian Wushuang had created. In the blink of an eye, the shocking sword shadow came into direct contact with the golden long staff. Bang! The world shook. At the moment of contact, Jian Wushuang felt a strong power passing through his arm, causing his divine body to tremble. Then, his entire body fell down uncontrollably. With this fall, a big hole immediately appeared in the ground. Chapter 3085. Emperor Blood Kill. After performing the 15th move, Xiong Tao finally relaxed and was still breathing heavily. But at this time, bang! The ground suddenly burst open, and a figure rose up again. It was naturally Jian Wushuang. At this moment, his figure was a bit disheveled, but only a bit disheveled. As for his aura, it was still at its peak. Xiong Tao, your staff skill just now was really good, but I wonder if you still have the 16th move? Jian Wushuang asked excitedly. The 16th move? Xiong Tao was stunned, but then he smiled bitterly. His staff skill was only comprehended after studying it for a long time in a lucky place in the Dao Palace, and it had not been perfected yet. With his current strength and cultivation, it was already the limit for him to use the 15th staff move, or even barely. It was impossible for him to continue accumulating strength to use the 16th staff move. Is that all? Jian Wushuang was obviously disappointed. After a while, he raised his head again and said, Xiong Tao, I just received 15 staff moves from you. Then, you should also receive one from me. Xiong Tao took a deep breath and his expression immediately became extremely solemn. Jian Wushuang did not speak again, but the vast divine power behind him had already begun to condense. In just a moment, a golden emperor phantom, which was 30,000 feet tall, appeared behind him. The golden emperor phantom contained endless majesty and looked down on everything. Its cold eyes focused on Xiong Tao, making Xiong Tao tense up and feel an extraordinary pressure. Then, Jian Wushuang held the hilt of the sword tightly with both hands and slowly raised the Blood Mountain sword. The moment the Blood Mountain sword was raised, a strange power began to spread. Xiong Tao stared at Jian Wushuang with a serious expression. However, at this moment, Xiong Tao suddenly felt a special power crazily pressing down on him. Xiong Tao was stunned, but he immediately understood the source of this power. Space-time is the power of space-time in the surroundings. This pressure is the pressure of space-time. This sword attack of his has brought about the pressure of space-time. Xiong Tao stared at Jian Wushuang, but at this time, from Jian Wushuang's body, the blazing flames mixed with endless white ice fog and produced endless power of ice and fire. The two natural opposing powers of ice and fire merged perfectly at this moment. The power of ice and fire swept wildly in all directions, covering the vast world in the blink of an eye. It formed a huge world of ice and fire. With Jian Wushuang as the core, the world of ice and fire pressed toward Xiong Tao with Jian Wushuang's will. In an instant, Xiong Tao felt that he was being burned and eroded by two completely different forces of ice and fire. His divine power was completely suppressed by the power of ice and fire. How is this possible? Xiong Tao's eyes were wide open. The power of ice and fire is a domain. Yes, it is a domain. But how could a first-rank true saint use such a powerful domain? Xiong Tao was stunned. He found that his divine power had been reduced by 50% under the suppression of the power of ice and fire. What did it mean? Even if a rank 4 true saint controlled an ordinary domain treasure, he could only suppress 30% of his divine power? Xiong Tao did not know that Jian Wushuang was not controlling an ordinary domain treasure, but a domain treasure, the ice and fire swimming dragon ruler. This was the first time Jian Wushuang had used this treasure since he had obtained it in the Beiming mystic realm. When he used it, its power did not disappoint Jian Wushuang. The 30,000-meter high divine punishment deterrence. The domain-type supreme treasure, ice-fire swimming dragon ruler, suppressed it with all its might. And the space-time power that was crazily pressuring him. All of this was actually for Jian Wushuang's next sword move. This move was still from the Peerless Sword Manual. It was called Emperor Blood Kill. Cut! With a roar, Jian Wushuang's Blood Mountain sword, which had been raised high, finally slashed down. This cut caused the space-time power that was pressing down on Xiong Tao from all directions to suddenly surge. Xiong Tao had already felt an extraordinary space-time pressure, but at this moment, the space-time pressure suddenly increased by 100 times. This space-time pressure was too strong. It was ridiculously strong. Coupled with the Heaven Punisher's intimidation and the Ice and Fire Dragon Ruler's full-scale suppression, Xiong Tao was completely stupefied at this moment. He was indeed stupefied. It could be said that this pressure was really too strong, so strong that he could not even move his body. That unprecedented pressure and intimidation made him lose the ability to resist at this moment, allowing the Scarlet Sword Light to slash at him. Boom! The sword light directly cut into Xiong Tao's divine body. Although Xiong Tao was a special life form with strong defensive ability, he could not withstand such a terrifying sword attack head-on, and his divine body instantly collapsed. However, after destroying Xiong Tao's divine body, Jian Wushuang did not attack again. Soon, Xiong Tao's divine body regenerated again. After the divine body regenerated, Xiong Tao still stood there, his eyes still staring at Jian Wushuang, but his gaze was very complicated. As for Jian Wushuang, his eyes were calm, but there was a faint smile at the corner of his mouth. One of the 7 swordsmanship moves of the Wushuang Sword Manual, the Emperor Blood Kill. This move is the combination of swordsmanship and space-time oppression, Jian Wushuang muttered. Each of the 7 swordsmanship moves of the Wushuang sword technique had its own characteristics. The Emperor Blood Kill was the perfect combination of swordsmanship and space-time oppression. The swordsmanship contained a terrifying space-time oppression power. When the swordsmanship burst out, the space-time oppression would instantly surge to the limit, the space-time pressure would restrict the opponent to the greatest extent, and Jian Wushuang was good at domains, so he also integrated the domain into this move. Just now, he had perfectly combined the intimidation of the Divine Punishment God, the pressure of the realm of Ice-Fire Swimming Dragon Ruler, and the pressure of the space-time force to restrict Xiong Tao to the greatest extent, so Xiong Tao could not resist it at all. But in fact, the sword just now was not in the perfect state of Emperor Blood Kill. After all, Jian Wushuang had not fully displayed his realm and his star armor realm. Moreover, in terms of the intimidation effect, the supreme sword essence in Blood Mountain Sword was even more powerful. Therefore, only when the Heaven Punisher, Ice-Fire Swimming Dragon Ruler, Star Armor Realm, Supreme Sword Essence, and the powerful space-time pressure contained in the swordsmanship were perfectly combined together. This was the true and complete form of the Blood Emperor Kill. Chapter 3086, Drastic Changes. Even if it's not a complete form, it's still not too difficult for me to defeat Xiong Tao with my strength, Jian Wushuang thought to himself. Xiong Tao was the #1 genius of the Dao Palace. Not only did he have a very high comprehension of the rules, but he also created a very impressive staff skill. Moreover, he was a special life form. His innate advantage was much greater than that of other cultivators of the same level. However, Jian Wushuang was the most perfect chaotic creature in the world. In terms of life level, he was much higher than Xiong Tao. Xiong Tao was a first-rank true saint, and he was at the peak of the first rank. His divine power was only at the level of a third-rank true saint. But what about Jian Wushuang? His current divine power was comparable to a peak third-rank true saint, and it even surpassed most peak third-rank true saints. In terms of divine power, he was stronger than Xiong Tao. In terms of rules, he was not weaker than Xiong Tao at all. Xiong Tao created the Golden Mountain Staff, which was extremely powerful. However, his staff skill was not perfect, but Jian Wushuang was different. He had been in the Bodhi world for 100 years and created the Peerless Sword Manual by studying a lot of exquisite sword skills. This was a complete and extremely powerful sword skill. A single move might not be too terrifying, but the combination of the 7 techniques involved many aspects. It was much more powerful than the staff skill created by Xiong Tao. In addition, Jian Wushuang was not weaker than Xiong Tao in terms of secret skills. In terms of treasures, Jian Wushuang had just used the Supreme Treasure, Ice-Fire Swimming Dragon Ruler, and the Blood Mountain Sword was also extremely powerful. How could Xiong Tao compare to him in terms of overall strength? In terms of strength, Xiong Tao is already the strongest person I have ever seen among rank 1 true saints. Unfortunately, although he is strong, he can only let me use the Emperor's blood kill. He is not qualified to let me use the strongest move. Jian Wushuang shook his head secretly. Wushuang's sword manual, 7 sword moves. Shi Xiang, Star Dream, Kanyang, Emperor's blood kill, Instant of life and death, 9th firmament illusionary sword. These 6 sword moves were all very amazing. However, the most terrifying sword move in the unparalleled sword manual, which even made Jian Wushuang somewhat proud, was the last move, Blood Azura. That sword move was the greatest achievement he had obtained after hundreds of years of meditation in the Bodhi world. Unfortunately, until now, no one had been able to force him to use his strongest sword move. The battle between Jian Wushuang and Xiong Tao had ended. Jian Wushuang won and Xiong Tao lost. Bai Xiao could not accept this result. How is it possible? Senior brother Xiong Tao lost? The number 1 genius of our Dao Palace is not only powerful in the understanding of principles and Dao, but also senior brother Xiong Tao, a special life form. He still lost to Sword Heavenly Marquis despite going all out? The Heavenly Sword Marquis is actually this strong? Bai Xiao, the red-haired man, the black-robed young man, and the beautiful woman in golden armor were all somewhat stunned. After a long while, the beautiful woman was the first to react. Bai Xiao, did you use the mirror image token to record senior brother Xiong Tao's battle with the Heavenly Sword Marquis? Master had already instructed me to do so, so of course I recorded it, Bai Xiao said. That's good. The beautiful woman nodded heavily. Soon after, she asked, do you think that the Heavenly Sword Marquis has used all of his strength in this battle? This, Bai Xiao was startled. He subconsciously said, he should have used all of his strength. If he still held back when facing such a terrifying senior brother Xiong Tao, wouldn't that be too abnormal? This may not be true, the beautiful woman said. In short, the genius disciples from the Dao Palace were so shocked that they could not calm down for a long time. On the other side, there was another person who was as shocked as Bai Xiao and the others, or even more shocked. This person was Duan Yu. He is so strong? Duan Yu stared at Jian Wushuang with wide eyes. He had fought with Jian Wushuang during the Genius Feast in the Jade Dragon Mystic Realm. Although he knew that Jian Wushuang was strong, he did not think that he was weaker than Jian Wushuang. After the Genius Feast ended, he immediately came up and challenged Jian Wushuang. In the end, Jian Wushuang defeated him with 1 sword strike, making him realize the gap between him and Jian Wushuang. However, he did not expect that this matter was not over yet. The next battle between Jian Wushuang and Xiong Tao completely shocked him. Both Xiong Tao and Jian Wushuang were ridiculously strong in his eyes. Especially Jian Wushuang and the last sword strike he used. The world had completely calmed down. Almost everyone on the field was in a state of shock, even Xiong Tao. But at this moment, something unexpected happened. It's quite lively here. A hearty and evil laughter suddenly echoed in the world. Jian Wushuang and everyone present immediately looked up and looked at the source of the voice. They saw 5 figures appear in the void next to each other. All 5 of them were covered in black robes, and the aura they emitted was very powerful. A rank 4 true saint? Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. All 5 of them were rank 4 true saints, and the cold old man in the middle had reached the peak of rank 4 true saint. These people? Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. Xiong Tao, Bai Xiao, and the others immediately gathered together. As for Duan Yu, the 2 rank 4 true saints immediately protected him behind them. Who are you? Xiong Tao's cold voice echoed in the world. As he spoke, he quietly took out a token with his right hand. We, the leader of the 5 black-robed elders, smiled wickedly. Of course we're the ones who killed you. Boom. An extremely powerful aura suddenly burst out from the void behind them. Immediately, a large amount of black fog covered Jian Wushuang and the others at a terrifying speed. The black fog spread so fast that Jian Wushuang and the others did not have time to react before they were completely covered by the black fog. Oh no! Xiong Tao's expression changed, and a message was immediately sent out. Not only him, but Bai Xiao and Duan Yu also sent messages to Iceberg and the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion. Send a message for help? It's useless. When you were fighting, we had searched the void carefully and there was no one around. Now, even if you send a message to the person behind you for help, no one will be able to get here in a short time. And when they really arrive, the few of you will already be dead. The cold old man laughed wantonly. Chapter 3087, Peak Rank 4, He's right, Xiong Tao said in a low voice. Although I have asked for help from Dao Palace, it will take some time for them to send experts here. There were many experts from Heavenly Cloud Pavilion in the Jade Dragon Mystic Realm, and they came here as fast as they could. But it will take them at least 15 minutes to get here, Duan Yu said. 15 minutes? Jian Wushuang's face darkened. 15 minutes might not seem like a long time, but with their strength, they could fight many times in 10 breaths. 15 minutes was enough to fight several battles. 15 minutes? Can you hold on for 15 minutes? The cold elder sneered and looked at Xiong Tao and Jian Wushuang, the first genius of the Dao Palace. Although we don't know the background of the other one, he was able to defeat Xiong Tao in a head-on fight. Naturally, his talent is even better. In addition, the others are also from the Dao Palace. We have gained a lot from this. Let's do it. Kill all these geniuses. As for Xiong Tao, if you have the chance, capture him alive. He is a special life form. It will be very useful to capture him. Yes. Following the order of the Cold Elder, the black-robed men, including the Cold Elder, immediately took action. A total of 5 Rank 4 True Saints, including a Peak Rank 4 True Saint, directly rushed toward Jian Wushuang and the others. Jian Wushuang and the others gathered together with solemn expressions. The surrounding void has been completely sealed by the black fog. We have no chance to escape. We have no choice but to fight, Jian Wushuang said in a low voice. Xiong Tao, with your strength, you should be able to deal with a Rank 4 True Saint, right? Yes. Xiong Tao nodded. You two are also Rank 4 True Saints. Each of you can deal with one. Jian Wushuang looked at the 2 Rank 4 True Saints behind Duan Yu. No problem. The 2 Rank 4 True Saints also nodded. Bai Xiao, you are geniuses of the Dao Palace. Although you are only Rank 1 True Saints, you all have some extraordinary strength. The 4 of you, together with Duan Yu, will work together to find a way to tie down a Rank 4 True Saint. I will use my domain to assist you, Jian Wushuang said. It's difficult, but you can try, Bai Xiao said, clenching his teeth. Then that's it. You each deal with a Rank 4 True Saint. As for the strongest Peak Rank 4 True Saint, leave it to me. Jian Wushuang's voice was cold. Xiong Tao, Bai Xiao, Duan Yu, and the others could not help looking at Jian Wushuang. That was a Peak Rank 4 True Saint? Under normal circumstances, a True Saint at the peak of Rank 4 would be much stronger than an ordinary Rank 4 True Saint. It was slow to say, but in fact the communication between Jian Wushuang and Xiong Tao was completed in an instant. At this moment, they had reached an agreement. Attack! Jian Wushuang shouted, and everyone moved in an instant. Rumble! Boundless divine power crazily condensed behind Jian Wushuang, and the 30,000 feet tall Golden Emperor Phantom looked down at everything. The star power in Jian Wushuang's body was also activated, and his aura suddenly increased. In addition, a layer of dark gold armor appeared on his body. 7-star secret skill, divine punishment, and 9 luminaries star armor were used at the same time. At the same time, a supreme sword essence burst out from the Blood Mountain sword. However, when Jian Wushuang defeated Xiong Tao, he had only used the punishment divine realm. As for the 7-star secret skill, the 9 luminaries star armor, and the supreme sword essence in the Blood Mountain sword, he had not used them. But now, he was going to face a genuine Peak Rank 4 True Saint, which was much more powerful than the Magic Note King he had met in the Magic Note Divine Kingdom. He did not dare to be careless in the face of such an opponent. He had to use his full strength. Shi Xiang! Jian Wushuang shouted. The sword light was swung, and a sword shadow was slashed out. The moment it was slashed out, a thick beast roar reverberated in the sky and earth. A mere pearl dares to compete with the sun and moon? The cold elder glanced at Jian Wushuang with disdain on the corner of his mouth, and then he slapped his hand. Boom! The world shook, and a huge black palm print completely covered the void in front of Jian Wushuang. The sword shadow hit the black palm print head-on. The black palm print instantly collapsed, and a large amount of divine power scattered in all directions. The sword shadow was still pressing toward the cold elder with extraordinary power. What? The cold elder was shocked, but he suddenly retreated and dodged Jian Wushuang's sword. This kid is much stronger than when he fought with Xiong Tao? The cold elder was shocked. He had witnessed the fight between Jian Wushuang and Xiong Tao. He was indeed shocked by the strength of Jian Wushuang and Xiong Tao, but he did not really care. Because both Jian Wushuang and Xiong Tao's strength was only at the level of a rank 4 true saint. They were not very strong among rank 4 true saints, so how could they compare with him, a peak rank 4 true saint? But who would have thought that when he fought with Jian Wushuang's strength was much stronger than before. This kid hid a lot of strength when he fought with Xiong Tao? The cold elder narrowed his eyes and his expression became serious. Jian Wushuang's eyes were also cold as he stared at the cold elder. With my strength, it's not difficult for me to fight against a true saint at the peak of rank 4. But what I want to do is not to fight him head-on. While Jian Wushuang was pondering, he was also observing the surrounding battlefields. In the surrounding battlefields, Xiong Tao, Bai Xiao, and the others fought against a rank 4 true saint according to Jian Wushuang's instructions. Xiong Tao was fine. As a special life form, his strength was indeed impressive. Even if he faced a rank 4 true saint head-on, he was not at a disadvantage. However, the situation on the other battlefields was not very advantageous. The first was the 2 4th-level true saints under Duan Ye's command. Although they were also 4th-level true saints, they were only sent by the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion to be Duan Ye's subordinates. Their status in the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion was very low, so their strength was naturally not much stronger. The two of them faced a black-robed man, but in the end, both of them were at an absolute disadvantage. On the other side, Bai Xiao, Duan Yu, and the others were struggling with the last black-robed man, but the situation was not optimistic. Their personal strength was far inferior to that of the black-robed man. One moment of carelessness and they might be defeated by the black-robed man. I have no choice. I have to end this battle quickly. Jian Wushuang's expression was solemn. There was a hint of killing intent in his eyes as he looked at the cold old man. Chapter 3088, Blood Azura. The raging flames, mixed with endless white ice fog, produced an endless power of ice and fire, which suddenly rose from Jian Wushuang's body. The two natural powers of ice and fire were perfectly fused at this moment. The power of ice and fire crazily swept out in all directions, covering the vast world in the blink of an eye. It formed a huge world of ice and fire. The world of ice and fire was centered around Jian Wushuang. With his will, the world of ice and fire pressed wildly toward the black-robed men on the battlefield, including the cold elder. At the same time, Jian Wushuang's star armor domain burst out and superimposed perfectly on the world of ice and fire. The domain-type supreme treasure, Ice and Fire Swimming Dragon Ruler, was used by Jian Wushuang with his current strength. Together with the star armor domain, even if it was not completely suppressing one person, but 5 people at the same time, the powerful pressure, it still made the 5 black-robed men look surprised. What a powerful realm! The cold elder raised his head in surprise. Jian Wushuang did not speak. He used his realm mainly to relieve the pressure on the surrounding battlefields. As for the cold elder in front of him, even if he did not use his realm, Jian Wushuang still had a way to deal with him. Swish! Jian Wushuang moved. Silver figures burst out at the same time like ghosts. Jian Wushuang had already used the silver light movement skill he had created to the maximum. In just a short moment, Jian Wushuang had already appeared in front of the cold elder, and the Blood Mountain sword in his hand had already fallen down. 9th Heaven of Illusionary Sword. Swish! 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 Jian Wushuang brandished his sword 9 times in a row and executed a total of 9 sword moves. However, even though he had executed 9 sword moves in one go, it felt like he had only executed 1 sword move. The 9 sword shadows were all extremely obscure. They overlapped and gathered together. The moment they were brandished, they directly attacked the Cold Elder. Humph, ridiculous! The Cold Elder let out a cold snort. Majestic divine power gathered in his hands. His 2 palms seemed to have turned into 2 huge dark clouds that covered the area at an incredible speed. Bang, 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 bang. 9 consecutive collisions rang out. Jian Wushuang's 9th realm illusory sword skill, which suppressed his opponent with absolute speed, was blocked by the Cold Elder's 2 palms. Suddenly, Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed with a sharp light. Star Dream! A sword shadow suddenly appeared in the world. It was a cold and gorgeous sword shadow that felt like a dream. The sword light was calm and indifferent. It swung out from Jian Wushuang's hand and then directly rushed toward the Cold Elder's neck. This sword move was very fast, especially at such a close distance. It was extremely fast. When the sword shadow burst out, the Cold Elder's face darkened. His right hand turned into a huge dark cloud and hit the Blood Mountain sword with the power of rule. The Star Dream first move immediately disintegrated, and Jian Wushuang stepped back. Boy, your strength is great, but you can only fight with me. Even with the help of the realm, you can at most gain the upper hand. You can use whatever means you have, the Cold Elder said in a low voice. Jian Wushuang looked at the Cold Elder, but his eyes turned slightly. As expected of a true saint at the peak of rank 4. His strength is much stronger than that of an ordinary rank 4 true saint. He is much stronger than the Demon Note King who fought with me. With such strength, it would be difficult to kill him with just the Emperor's blood kill or life and death. It seems that I have to use Blood Azura. Jian Wushuang tightened his grip on the Blood Mountain sword in his right hand, and his aura also became unusually cold. Buzz. It was so cold that it reached the bottom of the valley. It was extremely cold. The entire world seemed to have been completely silent in an ice cave. Huh! The Cold Elder raised his head and stared at Jian Wushuang with a solemn face. He sensed that the coldness that suddenly swept out in the surroundings came from Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang did not move. He just stood there and was still some distance away from the Cold Elder. But at this time, he slowly raised the Blood Mountain sword in his hand. The sword was placed horizontally in front of him. But this simple action of raising the sword instantly stirred up the surrounding space and time, and the surrounding void became completely blood-red. Yes, it was blood-red. The blood-red sky, the blood-red earth, and even the air was filled with a large amount of blood fog. The Cold Elder even seemed to see the bones under Jian Wushuang's feet, which had condensed into a blood sea. The shocking killing intent shot up to the sky, making the Cold Elder feel a trace of fear. At this moment, Jian Wushuang was no longer a human cultivator, but an Azura who had turned into hell. It was a blood-red Azura. The blood-red Azura raised the sword in its hand and slowly slashed out. The simple slash seemed to contain no power. However, the moment the Blood Mountain sword was slashed out, an unprecedented fear rushed into the Cold Elder's heart. The Cold Elder looked at the blood-red Azura waving its long sword and the sword light slashing toward him, but he had an irresistible and unstoppable feeling. The Cold Elder's face was filled with fear. Divine power surged wildly throughout his body, as if he wanted to block the sword. But suddenly, a wave of space-time power came without any warning. The Cold Elder was still in a state of fear. He had even raised more than half of his palm. But it was this posture that made the Cold Elder pause. This was space-time stagnation. It was a space-time stagnation formed by the space-time divine skill, the heaven-designated skill. However, the difference was that the heaven-designated skill was not performed by Jian Wushuang alone. Instead, it had been integrated into his swordsmanship. Yes, it was the strongest and most terrifying move in the Wushuang sword manual. It was even a move that made Jian Wushuang proud. The reason why he was so proud was not only because this move was extremely terrifying, but also because it was so powerful that people could not resist it. The most important thing was that he had made an incredible breakthrough in this move. That was, he had perfectly combined his swordsmanship with the space-time divine skill. The heaven-designated skill was a space-time divine skill that could temporarily freeze time. Jian Wushuang had once used it at a critical moment to catch his opponent off guard, and then he used his swordsmanship to kill his opponent and win. But now, this move had been completely integrated into his swordsmanship and into the Blood Azura move. When the sword light slashed out, time and space froze wherever it passed. Chapter 3089. Inviting Lord Long Xinghua. The sword light mercilessly flashed past, and a head flew out. The cold old man's eyes were wide open as he watched his head and divine body separate. Although he was shocked, the cold old man was not scared. After all, true saints all had immortal bodies, but suddenly, an unprecedented pain appeared out of nowhere, causing the cold elder to cry out in shock. Poison, it's poison, this poison, it's the evil god poison. The cold elder instantly felt that the evil god poison was madly corroding his divine body. The evil god poison was extremely powerful. Although he was a peak rank 4 true saint, he still could not resist it. In the blink of an eye, 80% of his divine power had been corroded by the evil god poison. However, the evil god poison that had corroded the cold elder's body had been completely exhausted. He's not dead. Jian Wushuang frowned, but he was not surprised. Under normal circumstances, 1 drop of evil god poison was enough to kill a rank 3 true saint. However, the cold old man was a peak 4th level true saint, so the effect of the evil god poison would be greatly reduced. In addition, the level of the evil god poison was not low. Even the Blood Mountain sword could only absorb 3 drops of the evil god poison at the same time. 3 drops was the limit. Therefore, when the sword light flashed past, only 3 drops of the evil god poison entered the cold old man's divine body and began to erode his divine power. It was normal that 3 drops of evil god poison could not kill the cold elder completely. Humph! Jian Wushuang snorted and slowly raised his left hand. Then he pointed at the void where the cold elder was. This finger seemed ordinary, but the moment he pointed, a power of space-time principles burst out. Rumble! A majestic space-time storm appeared out of thin air. No! A mournful roar echoed in the sky. The cold old man's divine body that was about to be reassembled, along with a large amount of surging god power, fell into the space-time storm. Rumble! The space-time storm crazily crushed and annihilated everything, as if it was destroying everything. In just a blink of an eye, everything in the void where the cold elder was, including his divine power, was destroyed. Naturally, the cold elder was also dead. One-finger void annihilation technique is a divine technique that can destroy everything on a large scale. It can also counter the immortal body of a true saint expert. The space-time storm destroyed everything in its path, including divine power. Jian Wushuang thought to himself. The immortal body of a true saint expert was based on divine power. However, if the divine power of this true saint expert was completely annihilated, then the true saint expert would certainly die. A true saint expert who had reached the peak of rank 4 was killed by Jian Wushuang in the blink of an eye. The surrounding people also saw this scene. All of a sudden, everyone was shocked. They even forgot that they were fighting with someone and stopped what they were doing. This, Xiong Tao stared at Jian Wushuang, his eyes full of shock. He really has hidden his strength? The beautiful woman in golden armor trembled. Bai Xiao, Jiu Luo, Duan Yu, and the others were all stunned speechless. They were not the only ones. The 4 black-robed men were the same as well. A rank 1 true saint killed a peak rank 4 true saint? How is this possible? Am I dreaming? It's fake. How could 39 die at the hands of a rank 1 true saint? The black-robed men were also completely stunned. After a long while, one of the long-haired black-robed men reacted immediately. Quick, invite Lord Long Xing. As the long-haired black-robed man shouted, A black-robed man immediately flipped his hand and took out a special token. The jade token was crushed, and a vast and majestic aura descended. Wung, 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 a large amount of black fog condensed in the void, and in the blink of an eye, it formed a 3-meter-tall black phantom. This black phantom was extremely hazy, and its exact appearance could not be seen clearly. All that could be seen was a pair of cold eyes peeking out from the fog. Lord Longxing. Seeing the arrival, the 4 black-robed men immediately bowed respectfully. The Black Shadow's cold eyes looked around the void, and then he said in a hoarse voice, "Where's 39? Master, 39 is dead. We have no choice but to ask you to help us," the long-haired black-robed man said respectfully. He only killed a few rank 1 true saints. Not only did he fail to kill them, but he even lost his life. What a waste! The Black Phantom cursed in a low voice. The 4 black-robed men lowered their heads and did not dare to say another word. In the void in front of them, Jian Wushuang and the others stood there, looking at the black shadow that suddenly appeared in the void with an extremely ugly expression. They could see that the black shadow was probably an energy clone formed by an expert using a special method. Although it was only an energy clone, if its owner was extremely powerful, the energy clone could also burst out with extraordinary battle strength, which was enough to pose a great threat to them. The strength that this main Bodis energy clone currently possesses is extremely limited. It can only unleash 1 attack. After 1 attack, the 4 of you should immediately leave no matter what the result is, the black illusory figure instructed. Yes. The 4 black-robed men immediately nodded. The black illusory figure slowly lifted his head after giving his instructions. The moment he lifted his head, a strange glow flashed within his cold eyes. Buzz, buzz, buzz. An extremely unique power burst out like a tsunami. What is this? Jian Wushuang's face suddenly changed. Soul attack. Oh no, be careful of the soul attack. Xiong Tao also shouted in a low voice. The moment he sensed that the Black Phantom had used soul attack, Jian Wushuang had already moved. A silver light flashed across the void, and Jian Wushuang pushed his speed and movement to the limit. He did not attack the Black Shadow, nor did he retreat. Instead, he stood in front of Jiu Luo. Among the people present, only Jiu Luo had some friendship with him. Jiu Luo was the weakest, and he did not have any soul defense skills. Once he was affected by the soul attack, there was at least a 90% chance that he would die. Now that Jian Wushuang was standing in front of Jiu Luo, the soul attack that was coming toward Jiu Luo was completely withstood by Jian Wushuang alone. Boom! Jian Wushuang felt as if a huge drumstick had smashed into his sea of consciousness. He had the exquisite pagoda in his sea of consciousness, but with the impact of this soul power, his soul pagoda only lasted for a moment, then it collapsed. Chapter 3090. Soul Annihilation. As soon as the exquisite pagoda collapsed, his physical soul was defenseless. Fortunately, his soul was much tougher and stronger than ordinary people. After the powerful soul attack destroyed the exquisite pagoda, the remaining power was not very strong. Although it also severely injured Jian Wushuang's physical soul, however, it did not completely destroy his soul. Humph! Jian Wushuang snorted and his face turned pale. Of course, this was his own disguise. His soul was like his divine body. Even if it directly collapsed, he could rely on divine power to regenerate it. So what if his soul was severely injured? However, the soul attack of the Black Phantom was not aimed at him alone. Instead, it was aimed at everyone in front of him. Jian Wushuang could easily resist the soul attack because of his soul defense and the uniqueness of his own soul. However, the others were not so easy. Buzz soul power swept across. It was as if time and space had completely stopped. There was bush. 3 figures fell directly to the ground. They were the red-haired man, the black-robed young man, and the beautiful woman in golden armor from the Dao Palace. It was true that the 3 of them were genius disciples of the Dao Palace, and their strength was also very impressive. However, the 3 of them were not too strong in terms of their souls. At that moment, even though the soul attack that the Black Phantom unleashed was aimed at everyone, the soul attack that struck them was still extremely powerful. The three of them were unable to block it, and their souls had already been directly killed. These three geniuses were already dead. Leng Chong, Moao, and Xie Zi. Bai Xiao's expression changed drastically, and he let out a cry of shock and anger. Bai Xiao's strength was about the same as the red-haired man and the other two. In fact, his soul was not much stronger than the other three, but Bai Xiao's identity was different. He was not only a genius disciple of the Dao Palace, but also the #1 genius of the current era of the Young Divine Sect. The Young Divine Sect placed great importance on him, so they gave him many life-saving items. In terms of soul defense, he had a soul defense sacred treasure in his body, and its level was not low. That was why he was able to survive this soul attack. There was also Duan Yu, who had also relied on his soul defense treasure to barely survive. As for Xiong Tao, as the #1 genius of the Dao Palace, he had even more life-saving methods. The soul attack only caused a slight change in his expression, but it did not cause much of an impact. As for the two level 4 true saints that followed Duan Yu, because they were genuine level 4 true saints, their souls were also at this level. Although they were affected by the soul attack just now, they still survived. After a wave of soul attack, just as the Black Phantom had said, his energy clone was too weak. Using one wave of attack was already the limit. Although it caused a certain amount of damage, his energy clone also quickly collapsed. Let's go! The four black-robed men did not hesitate at all. They fled the void as fast as they could. The four black-robed men ran for their lives as fast as they could. After running for a long distance, they finally stopped on a barren mountain. The four black-robed men looked at each other. Their expressions were very strange. As expected, we weren't prepared enough. We still paid the price for acting rashly, the long-haired black-robed man said. There's nothing we can do. Time is too short and we don't have enough time to prepare. After all, we only have one chance, and it's fleeting. We have to seize it, the other black-robed man said. They had acted rashly and hastily this time. It could even be said that they were not prepared at all. One had to know that the force they were in was extremely huge and tyrannical. Although it could not compare to the three great freedom alliances, the difference was not too great. They had countless experts, and fourth-level true saints like them were nothing in their force. But this time, it was too hasty. Because they only found out after the genius banquet that the palace's #1 genius, Xiong Tao, had actually participated in this genius banquet and did not have any experts by his side. This was a once-in-lifetime opportunity for assassination. Of course, their forces did not want to miss this opportunity. Therefore, even though they knew it would be difficult, they immediately dispatched the 5 rank 4 true saints led by 39. In addition, they also carried the jade talisman of Lord Longxing's energy doppelganger to assassinate him. They had already organized the strongest force in such a short period of time. Originally, with the 5 of them, if they were lucky, they could have killed Xiong Tao and the few geniuses who had arrived at the palace. However, accidents continued to happen. First, the appearance of Duan Yu and his 2 guards, and then the fight between Xiong Tao and Jian Wushuang made them realize that there was also Jian Wushuang, who also had the battle strength of a rank 4 true saint. All of these added together, the battle strength of 4 rank 4 true saints was not much inferior to their lineup. At that time, they knew that the probability of success was very low. However, they had no choice but to take action. They did not expect Jian Wushuang to give them a huge surprise as soon as he took action. He killed 39, the strongest among them, with a thunderbolt. Next, they only let Lord Longxing's energy doppelganger take action. Fortunately, although 39 died in this assassination and used a special token that Lord Longxing refined, this token is only the lowest level token. We've already killed 3 genius disciples of the Dao Palace, so we've already made a profit. The trouble is that this assassination failed. That Xiong Tao will definitely be more cautious in the future. I'm afraid we won't have such an opportunity again in the future, said the long-haired black-robed man. Not only that, we have another harvest. Another black-robed man said, it's the man who killed 39. At the mention of Jian Wushuang, the 4 black-robed men immediately became very serious. Yes, this man is also one of our harvest, and it's a great harvest. The long-haired black-robed man said excitedly, "A first-level true saint can kill 39, who has reached the peak of the 4th rank, directly. It's incredible. His talent is obviously higher than Xiong Tao, but we don't know whether he is from the Dao Palace or not. If so, we should kill him earlier than Xiong Tao." The other 3 black-robed men also nodded heavily. "No matter what, this mission has already ended. Let's go back and report this matter to the higher-ups. As for what we should do next, we'll leave it to the higher-ups of the sect to decide for themselves." Chapter 3091. Left alone after a fierce battle, the ground in the void that had been completely sealed by the black fog had become pockmarked. Even in the void, time and space had not completely calmed down. Jian Wushuang and the others gathered together, and there were 3 cold corpses lying under their feet. They were the red-haired man, the black-robed young man, and the beautiful woman in golden armor from the Dao Palace. Although their divine bodies were intact and did not suffer any damage, their souls had been completely destroyed. Soul destruction. Jian Wushuang shook his head secretly. It was indeed difficult to kill a true saint expert with an immortal body. However, some special poisons that could corrode the body and soul were the 2 best weapons that could restrain the body. Those special poisons were better. After all, if the poisons wanted to corrode the god power, they had to pass through the skin of the cultivator and transfer the poison into the other's body. Most true saints wore protective armor. To do this, they had to forcefully tear apart the other party's protective armor. Therefore, in the divine beginning realm, only those who used sharp weapons like swords, sabers, daggers, spears, and so on were suitable to use these special venoms. As for those who used axes, hammers, or gloves, most of them used force to suppress others, sending their power through the suppression to the other party's divine body. However, it was very difficult to deliver the venoms into the other party's body, so they naturally could not use them. Moreover, not only were these special poisons expensive, but they also needed a certain way to buy them. Thus, there were very few cultivators who really used these special poisons to kill their enemies, so they were not too frightening to true saints. And what truly frightened true saints was the destruction of their souls. The soul was the foundation of the cultivators. Once their souls were destroyed, no matter how strong their divine bodies were or how much divine power they had, it was useless. This was common sense. Therefore, experts who were good at soul attacks would attract attention no matter where they were. "Jiao Luo," Jian Wushuang suddenly said, "let's part ways here." "Brother Heavenly Marquis, are you leaving?" Jiao Luo immediately looked at Jian Wushuang. "Yes." Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. "I went to the Young Divine sect to find a place to stay and familiarize myself with the environment of the first heaven. Now that I'm familiar with it, I naturally have to leave." But Jiao Luo wanted to say something, but Jian Wushuang had already waved his hand and interrupted him. "Bai Xiao." Jian Wushuang looked at Bai Xiao again. "I know what Bai Ju and Iceberg are planning. Go back and tell them that I'm grateful for their kindness, but I don't plan to join the Dao Palace now. But they don't have to feel regretful because I'll go to the Divine Ancestor Taoist sect soon." "Oh." Bai Xiao was surprised. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. He was telling the truth. He had promised Shui Bei that he would go to the bloodline of the blood ancestor in the Divine Ancestor Taoist sect. However, he was too weak now, so he did not know much about the Divine Ancestor Taoist sect and the bloodline of the Blood Clan. Since there were many bloodlines in the Divine Ancestor Taoist sect, there might be some internal competition, so he did not dare to go rashly. But when he was stronger, he would know more or meet experts from the bloodline of the blood ancestor. "Goodbye, everyone." Jian Wushuang did not stay any longer and left. In the void, Jian Wushuang was flying forward alone. Many thoughts appeared in his mind. Elder Mo Shan said that the heaven-cleaving secret realm will open in 80 years. Now, only 30 years have passed and there are still 50 years left. In these 50 years, I can try to break through the first heaven. Besides, I am comprehending both the space-time principles and the reincarnation principles at the same time. Now, the space-time rule has reached the 3rd stage, and I have studied it to a certain extent. In terms of comprehension, I am very close to a rank 5 true saint. But in terms of the reincarnation principles, my progress is very slow, Jian Wushuang muttered to himself. He was comprehending both the space-time principles and the reincarnation principles at the same time, and the two complemented each other. But now, the samsara principles was far behind the space-time principles. I'm only a rank 1 true saint now, but my comprehension of the space-time principles is too high. My realm is limited, and my progress is obviously not as fast as before. In the past 50 years, I can completely focus on the samsara principles. After making up his mind, Jian Wushuang immediately began to think of ways to improve his comprehension of the samsara principles. On the other side, Baiju and Iceberg had long known that Jian Wushuang, Xiong Tao, and the others had been attacked. However, when they rushed over, the black-clothed men had already left, and Jian Wushuang had also left. Then, they carefully inquired about the outcome of the matter and also obtained a mirror image of Jian Wushuang and Xiong Tao's battle. Seeing the mirror image, both of them were very shocked. I knew this little guy was very strong. Otherwise, the 3 palace masters of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance would not have given him a place to enter the Heaven-Cleaving Mystic Realms so generously. But I didn't expect this little guy to be so powerful. Xiong Tao is the strongest expert among the first-rank true saints of our Dao Palace, and he is a special life form. His divine power is comparable to a third-rank true saint. How could he be no match for him? Baiju exclaimed. That's not all, Iceberg said in a low voice. According to what my disciple said, the Heavenly Sword Marquis didn't use his full strength when he fought with Xiong Tao. It wasn't until the black-robed men arrived that he revealed his full strength. He actually killed a peak 4th-rank true saint. It's simply inconceivable. Xiong Tao's combat power is already considered incredible among the first-rank true saints, but he's actually much stronger than Xiong Tao. Could it be that he's also a special life form? Baiju could not help but ask. It's very possible. Iceberg nodded slightly. Forget it. No matter what this little guy's background is, since he said that he would make a trip to the Divine Ancestor Taoist sect in the future, this means that he doesn't have any hostility toward our Divine Ancestor Taoist sect. In fact, he might even have some connections. That's already not bad. Baiju smiled, however, his expression immediately turned cold. Let's not talk about this little guy now. Let's talk about those black-robed men. Our Dao Palace has always been very strict in protecting the geniuses under our command, especially top geniuses like Xiong Tao. This time, Xiong Tao appeared at this genius banquet because he received my orders. I originally thought that Xiong Tao would only participate in this genius banquet and leave after a battle with the Heavenly Sword Marquis without encountering any accidents. I never expected that such a small mistake would actually cause our Dao Palace to suffer heavy losses. Chapter 3092. Sorcerer God Baiju's expression was extremely unsightly, and his aura was also abnormally cold. This time, the Dao Palace had indeed suffered heavy losses. After all, a total of 3 geniuses had fallen. These 3 geniuses were all very outstanding. Although the chances of becoming the Principal's Master in the future were very low, the chances of becoming a top-notch immortal saint were still very high. They might even become invincible amongst the immortal saints. Unfortunately, because of this small mistake, these 3 geniuses had died. Fortunately, Xiong Tao didn't die. Otherwise, the losses this time would have been too great. It was so great that even I couldn't bear it. Baiju clenched his hands tightly. The Dao Palace valued Xiong Tao extremely. If Xiong Tao died here, although he was the Principal's Master, he would definitely be severely punished by the Dao Palace. Even if he did not die, he would at least lose a layer of skin. Where did those 5 black-robed men come from? Baiju shouted in a low voice. Lord Baiju, the appearance of those 5 black-robed men was very strange. I've already sent people to investigate, but they were unable to find any traces. However, there's one thing. The reason why they were able to kill the 3 geniuses of our Dao Palace was because they crushed a command talisman and summoned an expert's energy clone. Then this expert's energy clone unleashed a soul attack. At that time, those black-robed men addressed this energy clone as Lord Longxing. Iceberg said respectfully. Long Xing. Bai Ju narrowed his eyes and a sharp light shot out. Long Xing, the master of Long Xing. It's the sorcerer god's sect. Sorcerer god's sect? Iceberg was also stunned. Damn the sorcerer god's sect. I've heard that they're very close to the three great sages. It seems that it's true, Bai Ju said coldly. The three great saints? Iceberg was shocked. Humph, the three great saints have always been at odds with the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance, the Temporal Temple, and our divine ancestor Taoist sect. Although the two sides have not really shed all pretenses of cordiality, there are still all kinds of fights going on in the dark. In recent years, the three great saints have been thinking of ways to suppress the three great freedom alliances. To suppress us, other than killing as many of our higher-ups as possible, the most important thing is to kill some of the geniuses in the three great freedom alliances ahead of time. Many years ago, 3 disciples of our Tao Palace were assassinated when they were out adventuring. At that time, they suspected that it was the 3 great sages who had done it, but they couldn't find any traces of it. But now, the Sorcerer God sect is openly assassinating the geniuses of our Tao Palace. Good, very good. It seems that the old Sorcerer God wants to be chased back to the universe battlefield. Bai Ju's ruthless aura surged into the sky. Lord Bai Ju, wasn't it rumored that the Sorcerer God sect has always been interested in some special bloodlines and some special life forms? Iceberg suddenly said, yes, they are indeed very interested in special life forms. For a long time, they have been searching for all kinds of special bloodlines. Usually, they would capture those who could be captured alive, and kill those who could not be captured alive. Then they would take away their corpses. As for their purpose, no one knows. No matter what, since the Sorcerer God sect dared to attack the genius disciples of our Tao Palace this time, they must bear the wrath of the entire divine ancestor Tao sect. The killing intent of the 100 Jew was overwhelming. Soon, he personally went to see the supreme existences of the Tao Palace. Jian Wushuang did not know the identities of the 5 black-robed men and why they wanted to assassinate them. He was too lazy to know. After parting with Jiu Luo and the others, he began to explore the first heaven by himself. At the same time, he was trying to improve his comprehension of the reincarnation rule. Time passed quickly. 50 years passed in the blink of an eye. The Three-Winged Kingdom was a relatively strong and prosperous country in the first heaven. It had existed for a very long time. The reason was that Luo Academy, one of the 9 academies in the first heaven, was behind the Three-Winged Kingdom. In such a prosperous kingdom, there were naturally many gladiatorial arenas. In the largest gladiatorial arena in the Three-Winged Kingdom, in the huge gladiatorial arena, there was a deafening noise. Countless spectators were sitting in the audience seats, watching the 2 people fighting crazily on the battlefield in front of them. In the inner hall of the gladiatorial arena, a few figures gathered together. Brother Han, it's your turn to fight soon. Are you ready? A rough voice sounded in the inner hall. Brother Han has already won 9 battles in a row in the arena. With such strength, what else do you need to prepare? Another person's voice sounded. That's true, but you should still be careful and not be careless. After all, Brother Han's next opponent is Mox, who is a battle maniac. Moreover, he has already won a total of 21 battles in a row in the arena. Brother Han is going to fight with Mox? Damn, why didn't you say so earlier? Mox with Han? The people of the inner hall immediately gathered. While these people were talking, the one they called Brother Han was sitting quietly at the side, drinking a pot of wine in his hand. When he heard the conversation around him, he did not seem to care at all. Mox. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. He had seen the battle between Mox and others in the gladiator arena. His strength was indeed good, but it was far from enough to attract his attention. 50 years have passed. In these 50 years, my comprehension of reincarnation rules has improved a lot, but now I have reached a bottleneck. This Mox is my last battle in the gladiator arena. I hope he won't disappoint me. Jian Wushuang raised the wine pot in his hand. He drank the entire pot of wine in one gulp. Soon, Jian Wushuang came out. Han! As soon as Jian Wushuang entered the battlefield in the center of the arena, the entire arena burst into cheers like a landslide and tsunami. Jian Wushuang had won 9 battles in a row in the same level of the arena, so he was naturally very famous. However, not long after Jian Wushuang entered the battlefield, Missouri Axe also arrived. As soon as Mo Axe appeared, the surrounding cheers were even louder than Jian Wushuang's. The enthusiasm of countless spectators had been ignited. "I've seen you fight with others." A deep voice came from the mouth of the burly man in black armor who looked like a living fierce beast. A giant black axe appeared in Mo Axe's hand. "Your sword formation is quite powerful, and your movement is very flexible. Unfortunately, it's useless against me." "Really?" Jian Wushuang gave a strange smile. His body moved, and a total of 18 purple longswords floated out. Under Jian Wushuang's control, they formed into one in the blink of an eye. It was a purple magic sword that was 3 meters long. "Go!" Jian Wushuang pointed. Swish! The purple divine sword instantly shot out. Chapter 3093. A strand of black hair schwa. A purple phantom, like a purple ghost, suddenly flashed out, flashing out 2 dazzling purple demonic lights in the air. It's appeared, Han's purple evil weapon. This is the purple evil weapon? It's so fast and it feels so terrifying. Purple evil weapon, this is Han's method of becoming famous. Previously, Han relied on this purple evil weapon to win 9 battles in a row in this arena. Numerous exclamations sounded out one after another in the spectating area. When he saw the ghost-like purple evil weapon shooting over explosively, the Mo Axe let out a cold cry, and then he took a swift step forward, and the huge black axe in his hand followed the momentum to descend. The Mo Axe did not look fast, but it struck the purple evil weapon. Clang! With a loud sound, the terrifying power sent the purple evil weapon flying. Die! With a roar, the demon axe appeared in front of Jian Wushuang in 2 steps. Then he swung the black giant axe in his hand. He knew very well that an expert like Han, who controlled the sword formation, would be easily killed by him once he lost the sword formation and got close to him. However, Jian Wushuang had already retreated rapidly when he saw Mo Axe approaching him. Streaks of silver light flashed. When Mo Axe's giant axe fell, Jian Wushuang had already dodged to the side. Mo Axe was not impatient. Han's purple evil weapon and his movement technique were famous in the arena. Only the purple evil weapon and its extremely fast movement technique were qualified to win 9 matches in a row in the arena. Swish! The purple evil weapon flashed and shot toward Mo Axe again. Mo Axe immediately waved his huge axe to block it. Clang! 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 The sound of metal colliding echoed throughout the battlefield. The battle between the two was unusually intense. Jian Wushuang had come to the gladiator arena as a rank 1 true saint, so his divine power had remained at the peak of rank 1 true saint from the first battle until now. His divine power had not increased at all. With the divine power of a rank 1 true saint, he tried his best to control the reincarnation sword formation. He was now using the 6th level of the reincarnation sword formation, which was called Yin Luo. It was an extremely demonic and powerful sword formation. He had already used the power of the sword formation to its maximum. If he took one more step, he would be at the 7th level of the reincarnation sword formation. This devil axe is indeed worthy of being able to win 21 matches in a row in the gladiator arena. His strength is indeed not bad. Jian Wushuang was secretly amazed. In terms of strength, this Mo Axe was probably slightly stronger than Jiuluo. If Jian Wushuang had used his swordsmanship or the space-time principles, he could have easily defeated this Mo Axe. But now, he just wanted to temper his samsara principles and the samsara sword formation. With the 6th level of the samsara sword formation alone, he could not defeat his opponent. Now, the reincarnation sword formation was at an absolute disadvantage in the face of the magic axe. The Mo Axe kept closing in on him, trying to bring him pressure. But this is the only way to make it interesting, Jian Wushuang said with a faint smile. He had won 9 matches in a row. The 9 opponents did not pose any threat to him, nor did they have any effect on his reincarnation sword formation. But now, Mo Axe was an excellent opponent for him to train. Kill! Jian Wushuang's killing intent soared to the sky, and he exerted his comprehension of the reincarnation rule to the maximum. Although the purple evil weapon was knocked back by Mo Axe time and time again, it rushed forward again and again. Mo Axe was also very irritable. While crazily repelling the purple evil weapon, he also wanted to keep getting close to Jian Wushuang. Unfortunately, Jian Wushuang's movement skills were compatible with the space-time principles. It was impossible for Mo Axe to get close to him. Clang, clang, clang. The sounds of collisions kept ringing out. In just a moment, the purple evil weapon controlled by Jian Wushuang had collided with Mo Axe's black axe more than hundreds of times. Under such intense collision and pressure, it greatly promoted Jian Wushuang's reincarnation principles. Finally, Jian Wushuang felt a flash of inspiration in his mind, and the part that had puzzled him about the reincarnation rule suddenly became clear. His comprehension of the reincarnation rule immediately reached a new level. I've made a breakthrough. Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. He raised his head and glanced at the extremely violent Mo Axe in front of him, but his eyes turned cold. Buzz! The purple evil weapon that was flying at high speed suddenly disintegrated. After disintegrating, it reassembled again at an extremely fast speed. However, this time, the purple longswords were no longer purple evil weapons, but formed a cross-shaped purple sword. Go! Jian Wushuang flashed a sharp light, and the cross-shaped purple sword suddenly shot out. Swish! The audience only saw a flash of purple light. The purple light was very weak and small, like a needle or, more accurately, a hair. The 7th level of the Samsara sword formation was called a black hair. However, the purple light, which was as small as a hair, was dozens of times faster and more powerful than the purple evil weapon. Each level of the Samsara sword formation was more powerful than the last. The 7th level of the sword formation was naturally much stronger than the 6th level. Jian Wushuang's comprehension of the Samsara principles had reached a new level, and his power had soared again. Get lost! Seeing the purple light shooting toward him, the Mo Axe, which had been in a berserk state, wanted to swing the giant axe in his hand to split the purple light. But in the end, clang! The purple light and the black giant axe collided head-on, and the terrifying power instantly changed the direction of the black giant axe's attack. Then, the purple light continued to attack the Mo Axe's divine body. Boom! The center of the divine body of the Mo Axe caved in, and his body instantly retreated to the edge of the battlefield. It took him a long time to stop again. After he stopped, he raised his head again and looked at Jian Wushuang with a hint of shock. As for the surrounding audience, there was a brief silence, followed by an unprecedented uproar. Cold! 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 The entire arena was cheering Jian Wushuang's name. It was obvious that Jian Wushuang had won this duel. At this moment, Jian Wushuang's face was also filled with joy. Of course, he was not happy because he had defeated his opponent, but because he had made a breakthrough in the reincarnation principle. The reincarnation rule has reached the 3rd stage. The reincarnation sword formation can also be used at the 7th stage. You can leave now. Jian Wushuang smiled. Chapter 3094, Heaven-Cleaving Star. After the fight, in the void outside the arena. Elder Mo Shan. Jian Wushuang stood in front of Mo Shan. Little guy, I knew you had a high comprehension of the space-time principles and excellent swordsmanship. I didn't expect you to have such high attainments in the reincarnation principles. Your sword formation is also quite extraordinary, Mo Shan said. Senior, did you just see it in the gladiator arena? Jian Wushuang asked. Yes. Mo Shan nodded slightly, then he said seriously, it's more difficult to comprehend the rules later on. Therefore, 99% of the cultivators in the divine beginning world usually focus on studying one principle. After all, one's energy is limited. If one studies 2 principles at the same time, It's likely that they will be dragged down by each other, which will lower their own achievements. They can only think of other principles after they break through to become a principles master. When you become a principles master, can you study other principles? Jian Wushuang asked. Of course, to become a principles master, you must have completely comprehended and mastered a principle. After mastering this principle, principles masters will find a way to master a second principle in order to increase their strength. After all, to completely master a principle, you can get a rule will. This principle will is extremely powerful. The reason why principles masters are far superior to the immortal saint is because of the existence of this principle will. However, if you can master two principles at the same time, you will naturally be able to get two sets of the will of principles, and your strength will naturally be stronger, Emoshan said. Is that so? Jian Wushuang understood. The will of principles? He secretly remembered this, but he also knew that his strength was still too weak. He was still far from completely mastering one principle. Of course, ordinary cultivators don't dare to split their attention at the immortal saint level, but you are different. You are a true genius and a peerless genius. Even if a genius like you comprehended two principles at the same time, the chances of becoming a principles master in the future are very high, Emoshan said. Jian Wushuang smiled. Well, 80 years have passed, and the heaven-cleaving mystic land is about to open. Come with me to the heaven-cleaving star, Emoshan said. Okay. Jian Wushuang nodded. Jian Wushuang immediately followed Emoshan and set off. The Heaven-Cleaving Star Alliance was widely recognized as the #1 freedom alliance in the divine beginning world. Its power was huge and spread throughout every corner of the divine beginning world. In addition to having a large number of secret lairs in the divine beginning world, the Heaven-Cleaving Star Alliance also had 2 lairs. The Heaven-Cleaving Star was one of the lairs of the Heaven-Cleaving Star Alliance, and it was also the location of the Heaven-Cleaving 3 palaces. A large number of genius disciples and some high-level experts of the Heaven-Cleaving 3 palaces lived in the Heaven-Cleaving Star all year round. This is the Heaven-Cleaving Star? Jian Wushuang had already stepped into the Heaven-Cleaving Star through the space passage. As soon as he arrived at the Heaven-Cleaving Star, Jian Wushuang immediately found that this star was different from other places. So strong gravity. I feel that the gravity of this star is at least 100 times stronger than that of other places. Jian Wushuang thought to himself. The gravity was 100 times stronger, which meant that it was 100 times more difficult to move on this star than in other places. If a cultivator stayed in the star for a long time, he would be affected by the gravity all the time and would benefit a lot. You are only at the edge of the star. When you reach the center of the star, the gravity there will be stronger. The gravity will suppress and promote the cultivator. If you stay in the star for a long time, your divine power will increase faster than in other places and your divine body will be stronger, Emoshan also said. Jian Wushuang nodded heavily. He could feel that the speed at which he accumulated divine power on the star was much faster than in other places. Of course, the gravity is only one of the many opportunities and superior cultivation conditions on the star. The star was moved from the universe battlefield by the Alliance Master of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. It has all kinds of magical abilities. It's a pity that you're not a member of the Heaven-Cleaving 3 palaces. Otherwise, you would be qualified to see them one by one, Emoshan said. Jian Wushuang shrugged, feeling helpless. Let's go. Emoshan led Jian Wushuang to the center of the Heaven-Cleaving Star. There were already many people waiting in the center of the star. Most of them were genius disciples of the Heaven-Cleaving 3 palaces. Today was the opening day of the Heaven-Cleaving Mystic Realm, so many disciples of the 3 palaces were attracted to it. Among the crowd, there were all kinds of discussions. After 10,000 years, the Heaven-Cleaving Mystic Realm is finally about to open again. Unfortunately, I'm too weak so I can't get a spot. The Heaven-Cleaving Mystic Realm opens once every 10,000 years. Each time, there are only 3 spots. All the geniuses of the 3 palaces add up to hundreds of people. So many people are only fighting for 3 spots. Naturally, Only the best 3 people in each era are qualified to enter. As for the others, don't even think about it. 3 quotas? Hee, as far as I know, only 2 people from the 3 palaces have been given quotas. What? Only 2 quotas? There was a sudden commotion in the crowd. It's true that there are 2 quotas. These 2 quotas were obtained by the Thorn Tiger and Thunder God of the Primal Chaos Palace. Originally, the Primal Chaos Palace also had a quota, but I heard that the quota of the Primal Chaos Palace was sent out by the 3 palace masters not long ago. Given away? To? I don't know, but I heard that it wasn't someone from the heaven-cleaving 3 palaces, but an outsider. What? An outsider got a quota to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm? How is that possible? What's going on with the 3 palace masters? Why would they give such a rare and precious quota to an outsider? That's right, such a precious quota. Even the 3 palaces of heaven slaying felt that it was too little. Why would the 3 palace masters take the initiative to give it away? Who knows, but there are rumors saying that the person's talent is too incredible, making the 3 palace lords exclaim in admiration. That's why they gave him a spot. There are also rumors saying that it's because the person has a special background that the 3 palace lords gave him a spot. Many geniuses of the 3 palace masters were discussing the spot. While they were discussing, many genius disciples were filled with righteous indignation. Unfair. The 3 heaven-cleaving palaces are extremely lacking in quotas to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. How can the 3 palace masters just casually hand over one? That's right. Piercing Tiger and Thunder God are the 2 top geniuses of the ancient palace. They each received a quota, so we have nothing to say. However, how can an outsider have the qualifications to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm? Chapter 3095. Challenge. A large number of geniuses from the heaven-cleaving 3 palaces were gathered there, and most of them were dissatisfied. Humph, the heaven-cleaving mystic realm is about to open. If nothing unexpected happens, that outsider should also rush to the heaven-cleaving star and enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm with Piercing Tiger and Thunder God. I'd like to see what kind of 3 heads and 6 arms he has to make the 3 palace masters treat him so well. Many people were aggressive and waiting for the outsider to arrive. Not long after, Jian Wushuang appeared in front of the geniuses of the heaven-cleaving alliance under the guidance of Mo Shan. Master Mo Shan. A top true saint immediately came to Mo Shan, followed by 2 people, Piercing Tiger and Thunder God. One of them had a cold aura, while the other was extremely violent. They first bowed slightly to Mo Shan, then looked directly at Jian Wushuang. Not only them, but many genius disciples from the heaven-cleaving 3 palaces also looked at Jian Wushuang. Is he the outsider? A rank 1 true saint doesn't seem to be anything special? I really don't see anything special about him. I don't know where he got the ability to ask the 3 palace masters to make an exception and give him a slot in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. Discussions immediately broke out. Among the genius disciples of the heaven-cleaving 3 palaces, Jian Wushuang also knew some of them. First, there were Mountain King, Evil Master, and Mirage Water. When they saw Jian Wushuang's face clearly, their expressions immediately became very interesting. It's him. It's that pervert. So it's him. No wonder he can get a place to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. The 3 looked at each other in dismay, and their hearts lit up. The 3 of them had fought with Jian Wushuang before, and they had even fought him head-on. That battle was still vivid in their minds. It was in the Whitebone region. The 3 of them had joined hands and tried their best, but they were defeated by the man in front of them. The 3 of them had been beaten into submission and had no temper at all. At that time, they had decided that Jian Wushuang was a complete monster. When they found out that the outsider who had obtained the quota to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm was this monster, they could accept it in their hearts. In addition to the 3 of them, Qian Chen, who had once dealt with Jian Wushuang, was also in the crowd. It's him, Heavenly Sword Marquis. Qian Chen stared at Jian Wushuang, but his eyes were shining. When he had completed his mission, he had met Jian Wushuang and fought him head-on. At that time, he had broken through to become a peak false saint, and Jian Wushuang was only a divine master at that time. But in the end, this divine master was on par with him, a peak false saint. After all, he was a genuine genius. He had been in the Heaven and Earth Palace before, but after this competition, he had entered the primitive palace. But he asked himself, his talent was not on the same level as Jian Wushuang's, he was definitely not on the same level as Jian Wushuang. In a corner of the crowd, Long Yun and Shui Yu stood together. They looked at each other with a trace of shock in their eyes. It's him. When we met him, we saw that his talent was very high, so he could at least enter the primitive palace and maybe even the chaos palace. But now, he can ask the 3 palace masters to make an exception and give him a place to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm? How strong is he now? Long Yun and Shui Yu were secretly praising him. Whether it was Mountain King, Evil Master, Mirage Water, Qian Qin, Long Yun, or Shui Yu, they had seen Jian Wushuang's strength with their own eyes and knew a little about his talent. Therefore, when they knew that Jian Wushuang was the outsider who got the spot, they could accept it in their hearts. But the others did not think so. A figure dashed out from the crowd and appeared directly in front of Mo Shan and Jian Wushuang. Lord Mo Shan. The man was wearing a black robe, handsome, and exuded the aura of a rank 1 true saint. "Oh, Gu Tong, what's the matter?" Mo Shan looked down. "Lord Mo Shan, the person next to you should be the lucky one who got the last quota to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, right?" Gu Tong asked. "Lucky person?" Mo Shan raised his eyebrows and then said with a smile, "Indeed, the last slot belongs to our young friend Heavenly Sword Marquis. This is the order of the 3 palace masters. No one can disobey it." As expected, Gu Tong's eyes turned cold and looked directly at Jian Wushuang. "Heavenly Sword Marquis, right? Since you can make the 3 palace masters make an exception to give you the slot to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, your strength and talent must be extraordinary. Since we are both rank 1 true saints, I'll challenge you here. I wonder if you dare to accept it." "Yes." Gu Tong emphasized the word dare, which was obviously a bit aggressive. Hearing Gu Tong's words, Jian Wushuang's expression became strange. He glanced at Mo Shan and asked, "Elder Mo Shan, what's going on?" "Ha, I told you before that the quota to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm is very limited. Even in the 3 palaces of heaven-cleaving mystic realm, there are only 3 slots every 10,000 years. Since you are given 1, there are only 2 slots left in the 3 palaces of heaven-cleaving mystic realm. This will inevitably make some geniuses of the 3 palaces of heaven-cleaving mystic realm unconvinced. Gu Tong, whom you are seeing now, is from the Chaos Palace and is publicly recognized as the number 1 rank 1 true saint in the 3 palaces of heaven-cleaving mystic realm. Like Piercing Tiger and Thunder God, one is a rank 2 true saint, the other is a rank 3 true saint. They are the strongest among their peers. Without you, Gu Tong might have gotten the 3rd spot," Mo Shan said softly. "Is that so?" Jian Wushuang understood. He also knew why Gu Tong was so angry that he directly came to challenge him. It seemed that the quota he got now was very likely to be his. "Heavenly Sword Marquis, don't hide behind Lord Mo Shan. Dare you accept my challenge? Say something," Gu Tong shouted coldly again. Jian Wushuang still did not answer, while Mo Shan glanced at the peak true saint next to him and asked, "How long until the heaven-cleaving mystic realm opens?" "Your Excellency, there should be an hour left," the peak true saint replied. "An hour is plenty of time. My young friend, Heavenly Sword Marquis, you might as well fight with Gu Tong so that he will be convinced. Also, let the other disciples of the 3 palaces know that the 3 palace masters gave you the 3rd spot for a reason," Mo Shan said. Chapter 3096 was unstoppable. After hearing Mo Shan's words, Jian Wushuang pondered for a moment and nodded slightly. "Okay." Seeing Jian Wushuang agree, Gu Tong was immediately delighted. "Let's fight here. Let's go to the Colosseum. No need to go through so much trouble. Let's fight here," Jian Wushuang said with a smile. "Okay." Gu Tong's voice was cold, and a majestic divine power immediately surged from his body. Seeing this, the surrounding genius disciples of the heaven-cleaving three palaces immediately retreated to the side and made a space for Jian Wushuang and Gu Tong to fight. There was also a lot of noise in the crowd. Senior brother Gu Tong, teach him a good lesson. Gu Tong, don't embarrass the three heaven-cleaving palaces. They're all rank 1 true saints. You, Gu Tong, are publicly acknowledged as the number 1 rank 1 true saint of the three heaven-cleaving palaces. If you lose to an outsider, you'll lose a lot of face. Voices sounded. Most of the disciples of the three heavens-destroying palaces were extremely relaxed. They all thought that Gu Tong would definitely win. This was very normal. After all, they knew Gu Tong's talent and strength. To be able to be called the strongest among the first-level true saints of the heaven-cleaving three palaces, he was definitely one of the best even among the first-level true saints of the divine beginning world. How could such a person be easily defeated by an expert of the same level? However, Mountain King, Evil Master, and Mirage Water who were in the crowd did not think so. Gu Tong is going to challenge him? He is courting death. I admit that Gu Tong is very strong, but if we fight him head-on, the three of us can definitely fight him head-on. However, the three of us were completely crushed by him. Mountain King, Evil Master, and Mirage Water all shook their heads and looked at Gu Tong with a trace of pity. In the center of the open space, Jian Wushuang and Gu Tong were facing each other with a certain distance between them. Heavenly Sword Marquis, are you ready? Gu Tong smiled wickedly and a pitch-black spear appeared in his hand. Under the light, the tip of the spear emitted a heart-palpitating luster. Gu Tong, before we fight, I want to ask you something, Jian Wushuang suddenly said. What is it? Gu Tong asked. Since you are the rank 1 true saint of the three palaces, you must have heard of Xiong Tao of the Dao Palace, right? He is the first-rank true saint of the Dao Palace. Have you fought with him before? What was the result? Jian Wushuang asked. Xiong Tao. Gu Tong's eyes narrowed slightly. He said, Xiong Tao's comprehension of principles and Dao is equal to mine. His staff skills are not as good as my spear skills. However, his system is special, so he should be a special life form. His basic divine power can reach the level of a rank 3 true saint. If combined with the secret skill of the Dao Palace, his power can reach the limit of a rank 3 true saint. He is much stronger than me. So, if it's a head-on battle, I should be inferior to him, but he definitely won't be much stronger than me. Gu Tong was a genius and had his own pride, but he was not conceited. He knew himself well. In terms of strength, he was indeed inferior to Xiong Tao. After all, Xiong Tao was a special life form and had a huge innate advantage. Are you still inferior to Xiong Tao? Jian Wushuang shook his head secretly, a trace of disappointment clearly flashing in his eyes. Gu Tong caught the hint of disappointment, which made him extremely angry. Heavenly Sword Marquis, what do you mean? Nothing much. I just want to tell you that I met Xiong Tao not long ago and fought him head-on. He lost to me, Jian Wushuang said directly. What? Gu Tong was stunned. Xiong Tao lost to you? How is that possible? Believe it or not. Jian Wushuang smiled casually. In fact, he did not finish his words. Not only did Xiong Tao lose to him, but he also did not use his full strength. Gu Tong's strength was not even comparable to Xiong Tao, so Jian Wushuang was not interested in him. However, in order to convince the geniuses of the three palaces, he had to fight Gu Tong head-on. Alright, cut the crap. If you have any tricks, just show them. Jian Wushuang took out the Blood Mountain sword and waved at Gu Tong. Gu Tong was furious. Do you think I believe that you really defeated Xiong Tao just because you said it casually? Do you want to scare me with Xiong Tao? What a joke. Take this. With a fierce shout, Gu Tong directly attacked. Boom. A violent aura suddenly burst out from Gu Tong's body, as if a volcano that had been silent for hundreds of millions of years had suddenly erupted. Swish. 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 Many strange figures suddenly flashed, and in an instant, dozens of Gu Tong figures appeared in the void in front of Jian Wushuang. Only one of the dozens of figures was real, but this figure had already quietly appeared beside Jian Wushuang. Star Devil's Spear. The long spear suddenly stabbed out. The long spear pierced through the void, making a piercing sound, and its power was earth-shaking. Jian Wushuang only felt a chill shoot out from the void next to him. Your speed is not bad. Jian Wushuang smiled indifferently, but the blood mountain sword in his hand was instantly slashed out. It was the peerless sword technique Shi Xiang, the extremely powerful sword attack, accompanied by Jian Wushuang's divine power, reached its limit. Even without using any secret skill, Jian Wushuang's divine power had reached the peak of a rank 3 true saint, and the Shi Xiang move was the most powerful move in the Peerless Sword book. The sword shadow was extremely fierce. It hit the tip of the pitch-black spear like it was lightning. Bang! The tip of the spear was smashed to the side. Gu Tong's hands suddenly moved, and the spear seemed to fall out of his hands. As for his body, he instantly retreated. However, at this time, Jian Wushuang rushed forward. His silver light movement technique burst forth and arrived in front of Gu Tong as if he had teleported. Bush, 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 bush. Jian Wushuang waved 9 times in a row and also performed a total of 9 sword moves. However, although he had performed 9 sword moves in one go, it gave people the feeling that he had only performed 1 sword move. It was the 9th heaven of illusionary sword. It was too fast. It was so fast that no one had time to react. Oh no! Gu Tong's expression changed drastically, and he immediately unleashed his spear technique. Swish, swish, swish. One after another, spear shadows followed him like shadows, colliding head-on with Jian Wushuang's crazy sword shadows. However, Gu Tong found that his spear speed was obviously not as fast as Jian Wushuang's swordsmanship. He tried his best to block 8 of the 9 sword moves, but the 9th one hit his divine body directly. Chapter 3097. Mystic Realm opened bang. The sword light carried a terrifying impact force and instantly sent Gu Tong flying. Gu Tong kept rolling in the air and finally stopped. The geniuses of the heaven-cleaving 3 palaces who were watching the battle were all shocked. He lost. He lost so quickly? It was only a split second. How could Gu Tong lose so quickly? Most people found it unbelievable and found it hard to accept the result. At first, they thought Gu Tong would win. After all, Gu Tong was recognized as the strongest expert among the first-level true saints of the heaven-cleaving 3 palaces. If Gu Tong had defeated Jian Wushuang in such a split second, they would have thought it was reasonable, but now, Gu Tong had lost. They could not accept being defeated by the outsider, Heavenly Sword Marquis, in such a short time. How is it possible? How can your divine power be so strong? And how can your sword be so fast? Gu Tong stared at Jian Wushuang. Is your divine power strong? Is your sword fast? Jian Wushuang could not help but smile in his heart. As a perfect chaotic creature, he was much more advanced than special creatures like Xiong Tao, so it was natural that his divine power was powerful. As for why his swordsmanship was so fast, if it was 50 years ago when he had just reached the 3rd stage of comprehending the space-time principles, his swordsmanship was not so fast. But in these 50 years, he had not only made great progress in the reincarnation principles, but also in the space-time principles. Now, he was also in the 3rd stage of the space-time principles, but he had made some achievements. In terms of level, his comprehension of the space-time principles should be comparable to that of an ordinary rank 5 true saint. In terms of comprehending the space-time principle at the level of a rank 5 true saint, his speed was very fast. Each sword was stronger than the last. It was already amazing that Gu Tong could block the first 8 swords, but he was not able to block the 9th sword. Naturally, he was defeated. I told you that Xiong Tao was defeated by me. You don't believe me, Jian Wushuang said with a faint smile. Gu Tong fell silent. Before the battle, he did not believe that Jian Wushuang could defeat Xiong Tao directly. But after the real battle, he had to believe it. Well, your battle has come to an end. Gu Tong, you should be convinced now, Mo Shan's voice came from the side. Gu Tong took a deep look at Jian Wushuang, but did not say anything more. At first, he was really unconvinced, thinking that the 3 palace masters should not give such a precious spot to an outsider. But now that he had really fought with Jian Wushuang, he was not unconvinced. To put it bluntly, in this world, strength reigned supreme no matter where. Previously, he thought that Jian Wushuang's strength and talent were not as good as his, but now that he knew that Jian Wushuang's strength was far above his, he had nothing to say. Heavenly Sword Marquis, Piercing Tiger, and Thunder God, you three should get ready. The heaven-cleaving mystic realm is about to open, Emoshan said. Yes. Piercing Tiger and Thunder God immediately nodded. Jian Wushuang also put away his long sword and stood there quietly waiting. Although the geniuses of the heaven-cleaving three palaces still looked at Jian Wushuang from time to time, they did not have the same discussions and dissatisfaction as before. After all, Jian Wushuang had proven himself with his strength. An hour passed quickly. My lord, we are ready. The Peak True Saint stood in front of Emoshan and said respectfully. Well, open it, Emoshan ordered. Then he waved his hand and took out 3 tokens. These 3 tokens represented the 3 places to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. As Emoshan threw the 3 tokens into the void in front of them, the void in front of them rippled, and then 3 space passages appeared in front of them. These 3 passages can enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. You 3 can choose which passage to enter. In addition, there are many opportunities in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, and any one of them is very precious and rare. As for what opportunities you can get in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, it depends on your luck and luck, Emoshan said. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang's heart was moved. Obviously, the geniuses who entered the heaven-cleaving mystic realm would get different opportunities in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. Elder Emoshan, how long can we stay in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm? Jian Wushuang asked. I'm not sure. Emoshan smiled and said, because everyone gets different opportunities in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, and the time spent is also different. But under normal circumstances, you have already got that opportunity, or you have already got more than half of it. But when you can't get more opportunities in the short term, you will be sent out. Is that so? Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. The heaven-cleaving mystic realm is very magical. It's a rare opportunity for the 3 of you to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. Remember to cherish this opportunity. Alright, go in. Emoshan waved his hand. Jian Wushuang, Piercing Tiger, and Thunder God looked at each other. Without hesitation, they each chose a passage and directly entered the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. With a flash of light, when Jian Wushuang reappeared, he found himself in an extremely strange space. It was gray and full of haziness. With the naked eye, even the range of 10 palms around him could not be seen clearly. Even if he used his soul power to check, he could only reach a range of 300 meters. Now, when Jian Wushuang used his soul power to spread out, he saw an endless gray airflow. This gray air current was very unique and gave Jian Wushuang a different feeling. Is this a chaotic air current? Jian Wushuang frowned. No, it seems to be more advanced than ordinary chaotic air currents. He could feel the incredible power contained in this gray air current. This power made him very shocked. Elder Emoshan said that there are countless opportunities in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, and everyone has the same opportunities. But now that I've come to this strange space, where are the opportunities around here? Jian Wushuang was puzzled. But suddenly, buzz. The void suddenly shook, as if the whole world was about to collapse. Jian Wushuang's heart also trembled. Then he saw the endless gray airflow in front of him was pushed away by a strong force. A huge object slowly descended and appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. It completely blocked Jian Wushuang's line of sight. This huge object was a huge, boundless black stone pillar. Chapter 3098, Golden Words at First Glance. The black stone pillar seemed to be infinitely large. In short, Jian Wushuang could not see the edge of the black stone pillar with his perception ability in this space. Such a huge black stone pillar suddenly fell in front of Jian Wushuang, and then there was no more movement. What a huge pillar! Jian Wushuang looked at the black stone pillar with a trace of shock. The surface of the black stone pillar was not smooth. On the contrary, there were all kinds of bumps and bumps. When he walked in and looked at the black crystals that made up the stone pillar, they looked like ordinary iron plates. However, Jian Wushuang knew very well, these black crystals were not iron plates, nor were they ordinary refining materials. They were made of a special material that Jian Wushuang had never seen or even heard of. Jian Wushuang reached out and touched the surface of the black stone pillar. Instantly he felt a chill. At the same time, a terrifying chill struck his heart, causing him to feel a chill in his heart. He was so scared that he immediately withdrew his hand. "What is this stone pillar?" Jian Wushuang frowned. Then, he raised his head and looked carefully at the top of the stone pillar. When he looked at it, his pupils could not help shrinking. He saw that above the stone pillar was the central area. There were one after another strange golden characters. These golden characters were also very big, like tadpoles twisting together. Each character looked very similar, but they were all different. Looking at these golden characters, Jian Wushuang was even more confused, because he did not know these golden characters at all. After all, he had been to many places in 2 lifetimes and had seen many strange words, but he had never seen such strange words. Most importantly, each of these golden words gave him an extremely ancient feeling and a profound feeling. After carefully counting, there were 32 golden words on the black stone pillar. According to Elder Mo Shan, anyone who enters the heaven-cleaving mystic realm can get their own opportunities, but the size of the opportunities is different. My opportunities, is it the black stone pillar in front of me, or the 32 golden words on the stone pillar that I can't recognize? Jian Wushuang muttered. After pondering for a moment, Jian Wushuang sat down cross-legged in front of the black stone pillar. Then he began to carefully observe the 32 golden words. He first looked at the first golden word. He looked at it for an hour, but no matter how hard he looked at it with his naked eyes, consciousness, or heart, he could not see anything. There was no change or reaction in the golden word. He frowned and looked at the second golden character, but the result was the same. The third, the fourth, Jian Wushuang had been looking at the 15th golden character from the first golden character for a full hour, but he still could not find anything. Until Jian Wushuang looked at the 16th golden character. "Huh!" Jian Wushuang's expression suddenly changed. He only stared at the 16th golden character. Under his gaze, the golden character did not change at all. However, Jian Wushuang found that there was a certain connection between him and the golden character. It was as if he could communicate with it. Just like the strange gold stone that Jian Wushuang had obtained back then, the golden stone looked ordinary at first glance. There was nothing special about it. However, because Jian Wushuang was very talented in the space-time principle, his compatibility with the space-time principle was also very high. Therefore, he could sense the faint space-time power hidden in the golden stone. So he came to the gate of the space-time temple and learned 2 space-time divine skills. Now, Jian Wushuang also sensed an extremely subtle connection from the 16th golden word. What is hidden in this golden word? Jian Wushuang was completely immersed in the golden word. 2 hours, 4 hours, soon, Jian Wushuang stared at the 16th golden word for 3 days. During this time, the subtle connection between him and the 16th golden word became stronger and stronger. Finally, the 4th day arrived. Boom! A vast message burst out from the 16th golden word and rushed directly into Jian Wushuang's mind. This information was too vast and vast. Not only did it contain all kinds of information, but also a large number of images crazily rushed into his mind. At this moment, even Jian Wushuang felt a sharp pain in his head and almost fainted. But in the end, he still endured the pain with great difficulty and tried his best to accept the information. Time passed. 10 days passed in a flash. During these 10 days, Jian Wushuang endured unprecedented pain in his mind every day. The pain was extremely intense. Fortunately, Jian Wushuang's will was tough and his heart was like a rock. If it were an ordinary true saint, he could not bear the pain anymore. During these 10 days, the vast information from the 16th golden word finally entered Jian Wushuang's mind. At this moment, the pain in Jian Wushuang's mind gradually eased. Phew! Jian Wushuang had just exhaled, but he did not have time to relax. The 16th golden character on the pitch-black stone pillar began to wriggle like a tadpole, and in the end, it completely came to life. The golden character had already detached from the black stone pillar, and then slowly floated toward Jian Wushuang. When it reached Jian Wushuang, the golden character began to shrink and finally landed on the back of Jian Wushuang's right hand. It had completely merged with his right hand. When the golden divine body merged with Jian Wushuang's right hand, Jian Wushuang instantly fell into a very strange state. This state was ethereal, but Jian Wushuang could clearly feel it. In this state, a large amount of information from the golden words began to appear in front of him. Jian Wushuang also began to be immersed in this vast information. He did not know that while he was immersed in this state, the golden words on the back of his right hand, which had shrunk countless times, were shining with a layer of dazzling golden light in all directions. As if they were affected by this golden light, the large amount of gray airflow around Jian Wushuang crazily attacked Jian Wushuang. The large amount of gray airflow completely enveloped Jian Wushuang's divine body. A burst of powerful devouring power naturally erupted from Jian Wushuang's body, crazily devouring the gray airflow and then transforming it. This step happened naturally in Jian Wushuang's own unconsciousness. He did not even know about it. Chapter 3099, Strength Sword. Jian Wushuang, who was completely immersed in the vast information, had long forgotten the passage of time. For Jian Wushuang, what he needed to do now was to completely digest the vast information. He did not care about anything else. The information was too vast and majestic. He did not know how long it took, but he finally completely digested the information. At the same time, he also figured out what the information was. It was a secret skill. An extremely powerful secret skill. Jian Wushuang did not know how powerful this secret skill was, but there were a lot of images contained in the information. Those images were the scenes of the secret skill, but from the images, it was incredibly powerful. In Jian Wushuang's opinion, this secret skill should not be weaker than the space-time divine skill. 6 Paths of Reincarnation. Jian Wushuang opened his eyes and said these words. This was the name of the secret skill. This secret skill was named after reincarnation, so it was obviously a secret skill related to the rules of reincarnation. Like the space-time divine skill, the 6 Paths of Reincarnation requires a very high level of comprehension of the rules of reincarnation. The higher the comprehension, the more powerful the secret skill will be. My comprehension of the rules of reincarnation has reached the 3rd stage, and while I was digesting the information of this secret skill, my comprehension of the principles of reincarnation has greatly improved. Now, my comprehension of the principles of reincarnation seems to have surpassed the comprehension of the principles of space-time and has reached the threshold of the first move of the 6 Paths of Reincarnation, Hell Dao. However, although I have received the complete inheritance of the 6 Paths of Reincarnation secret skill, I only have the memory and images of this secret skill. I have to carefully study and comprehend it before I can truly master it, Jian Wushuang thought to himself. Taking a deep breath, Jian Wushuang was about to get up, but suddenly his eyes widened. This is... A trace of dullness flashed in Jian Wushuang's eyes, and he was also extremely shocked at this moment. He had just been immersed in the 6 Paths of Reincarnation secret skill, so he had no idea what was happening in the outside world. However, when he came back to his senses, he immediately noticed the changes in himself. The biggest change was his cultivation realm. After all, when he entered the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, his realm was only at the level of a rank 1 true saint. At most, he was at the peak of the 1st level. Although his comprehension of the principles and Tao was very high, reaching the level of the immortal saint was not like the divine master level, where he could directly break through by absorbing a large amount of divine power, one step at a time. Every realm had a huge bottleneck. Therefore, even though Jian Wushuang had stayed at the level of a rank 1 true saint for a long time, he had not been able to break through to a rank 2 true saint. It was not that he did not look like one, but he had not found the opportunity to break through. But now, Jian Wushuang felt that the divine power flowing in his body was many times stronger than before. It was obvious that he had broken through. And it was not as simple as breaking through from a rank 1 true saint to a rank 2 true saint. Instead, he had directly broken through from a rank 1 true saint to a rank 3 true saint. Right at this moment, the divine power aura emanating from his body had reached the level of a rank 3 true saint. Rank 3 true saint? Jian Wushuang was shocked. He was only a rank 1 true saint, but in the blink of an eye, he had become a rank 3 true saint? What's going on? Jian Wushuang immediately began to investigate his changes. Soon, he found the miniature version of the golden words on the back of his right hand. The golden words are on the back of my hand? Jian Wushuang's expression became even more strange. He was completely confused. After a long while, he shook his head and said, "Whatever. Regardless of the reason, my current realm has indeed reached the level of a rank 3 true saint, and my divine power is much stronger than before." Jian Wushuang clenched his hands. He could feel the explosive power in his hands. Before, he was a rank 1 true saint, but because of his perfect chaotic divine body, his divine power was comparable to that of a peak rank 3 true saint. But now, he was a genuine rank 3 true saint, so his divine power... Boom! Jian Wushuang punched out, and a terrible gust of wind instantly sounded. His fist smashed into the void in front of him, making a sudden explosion, and the surrounding world shook. So powerful! Although I haven't fought with a rank 5 true saint, I feel that my divine power is definitely comparable to an ordinary rank 5 true saint. Jian Wushuang's eyes were shining with excitement. The reason why he was not at the peak of rank 5 was that the further he advanced, the greater the gap in strength. When Jian Wushuang was a rank 1 true saint, his divine power was comparable to that of a rank 3 true saint. However, when he was a rank 3 true saint, his divine power was only comparable to an ordinary rank 5 true saint, which was already quite ridiculous. If he used the 7-star secret skill, the Divine Punishment God, and the 9 luminary star armor, his divine power would be 10 times stronger. It was estimated that his divine power would not be much weaker than that of a rank 6 true saint. I didn't expect that my trip to the heaven-cleaving mystic realm would not only greatly improve my comprehension of the samsara principles and obtain the extremely powerful secret skill, the 6 paths of reincarnation, but also increase my realm and my overall strength by so much. Jian Wushuang was pleasantly surprised. If he were to cultivate normally, it would take him at least hundreds of years, or even thousands of years, to break through from a rank 1 true saint to a rank 3 true saint. But now, the time in between had been completely omitted. No wonder so many geniuses of the heaven-cleaving 3 palaces are so eager to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. The opportunity of the heaven-cleaving mystic realm is indeed incredible. I don't know what level the opportunity one have now belongs to, Jian Wushuang thought. He did not know what level the opportunity he had obtained belonged to among all the geniuses who entered the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. But according to his own estimation, his luck should be very good. That was because the 6 paths of reincarnation's secret skill alone was a great opportunity in his eyes. Buzz. A unique will suddenly transmitted over, causing Jian Wushuang's body and mind to tremble. This will came from the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. I've already obtained my opportunity. Do you want me to leave? Jian Wushuang muttered without the slightest bit of regret. Behind him, space and time swirled, and a space passage appeared out of thin air. Jian Wushuang took a deep look at the black stone pillar in front of him. There were 32 golden characters on the black stone pillar, but now there were only 31 left. Those 31 golden characters should contain great opportunities, but I don't know who will get them in the future. With a faint smile, Jian Wushuang stepped into the space passage and disappeared. Chapter 3100, Black Divine Pillar in the open space in the center of the heaven-cleaving star. The geniuses of the 3 palaces had left long ago. Now, only the peak true saint was waiting there. So, a figure suddenly landed. Lord Mo Shan. The peak true saint bowed respectfully. Heavenly Sword Marquis, you haven't come out yet? Mo Shan looked over. Yes. The peak true saint nodded. It's been 60 years. This kid has been in heaven-cleaving mystic realm for a long time. I'm afraid no one has been in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm longer than him, Emoshan said. In the history of the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, the longest time spent in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm has only been 42 years. As for the 3 people who entered the heaven-cleaving mystic realm this time, Piercing Tiger only stayed in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm for 3 years before coming out. Thunder God stayed for 12 years, but none of them lasted as long as Heavenly Sword Marquis, the peak true saint added. The longer I stay in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, the more opportunities I'll get under normal circumstances. I just don't know what kind of opportunities this little guy got in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, Emoshan muttered. There were countless opportunities in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, but no one in the outside world knew what kind of opportunities the people who entered had. Right at this time, the void in front of them suddenly trembled, and then a space passage slowly appeared in front of Emoshan and the peak true saint. Finally coming out? Emoshan's eyes lit up. Not long after the space passage appeared, a figure slowly stepped out of the space passage. This figure was undoubtedly Jian Wushuang. Elder Emoshan. Jian Wushuang had just come out of the heaven-cleaving mystic realm when he saw Emoshan in front of him. My friend, you finally came out of the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. Emoshan greeted him with a smile. Finally. Jian Wushuang's expression changed. Senior, do you mean that I have stayed in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm for a long time? A whole 60 years. Do you think it's a long time? Emoshan asked with interest. 60 years. Jian Wushuang was stunned. In the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, he was completely immersed in the vast information of the 6 paths of reincarnation's secret skill. He had long forgotten the passage of time. In that state, he felt that it had not been long, but he did not expect that it had been 60 years. My friend, you have stayed in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm for 60 years. You must have gained a lot, right? Emoshan looked at him. I have. Jian Wushuang smiled. Then his body shook, and a strong divine power aura burst out. This is a rank 3 true saint? Emoshan stared at him. You actually broke through from a rank 1 true saint to a rank 3 true saint in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm? Emoshan was also quite surprised. After all, it was very difficult to break through every level when one's strength reached the level of a true saint. Under normal circumstances, it would take a long time to break through from a rank 1 true saint to a rank 3 true saint. My friend, what kind of opportunity did you get in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm? Emoshan could not help asking. Jian Wushuang pondered for a moment, but he said directly, after I entered the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, I came to a strange space surrounded by a large amount of gray airflow. Not long after, a huge black stone pillar appeared in front of me. There were some strange golden words on the black stone pillar. Black stone pillar? Golden words? Emoshan and the peak true saint next to him looked at each other. The next moment, both of them were shocked. Heaven-reaching divine pillar. Yes, it's the black divine pillar. Emoshan and the peak true saint both cried out in surprise. My friend, you actually saw the black divine pillar? Emoshan's expression was very interesting. Black divine pillar? I think so. Why is the black divine pillar so amazing? Jian Wushuang asked calmly. Of course it's amazing. Emoshan said immediately, there are countless opportunities in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, and these opportunities vary in size and are extremely precious. But if the biggest opportunity in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm is undoubtedly the black divine pillar. The Alliance Master brought it back from a special place in the universe battlefield a long time ago. It said that this black divine pillar contains a big secret, and in the center of the divine pillar are ancient golden characters. No one can recognize those golden characters, but each golden character contains a big opportunity. My friend, since you saw those golden words, you must have tried to comprehend them, right? Emoshan stared at Jian Wushuang. Of course, I got a complete secret skill by communicating with one of the golden words, Jian Wushuang said directly. Sure enough. Emoshan smiled. Each of those golden words contains an extremely powerful secret skill that can reach the heavens. Generally, as long as the conditions are right, you can more or less comprehend some of them. Before Emoshan could finish his words, he suddenly thought of something. He immediately looked at Jian Wushuang and asked, "My friend, what did you say? Did you get a complete secret skill?" "Complete secret skill?" The true saint beside him was also surprised. "It's a complete secret skill." Jian Wushuang asked in puzzlement, "Are you sure it's complete?" Emoshan was in disbelief. "Of course." Jian Wushuang smiled. "Besides, after I got the complete secret skill, the golden words were printed on my hand." Jian Wushuang stretched out his right hand, with the back of his hand facing Emoshan. On the back of his right hand, there was a very obvious golden word. This, Emoshan was completely stunned. "Even the golden word was printed on your hand? You actually got a complete secret skill." "Elder Emoshan, from your words, is it strange that you obtained a complete secret skill?" Jian Wushuang could not help asking. "Of course it's strange." Emoshan's expression became serious. "My friend, you don't know. Since the creation of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance, who knows how many years have passed, and the Heaven-Cleaving Mystic Realm has existed for a long time. During this period, the Heaven-Cleaving Mystic Realm will open every 10,000 years. Every time it opens, 3 geniuses will enter. After so many years, the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance has opened countless times. There are also countless geniuses who have entered the Heaven-Cleaving Mystic Realm. However, over the years, among the geniuses who had entered the Heaven-Cleaving Mystic Realm, only 8 of them were lucky enough to see the Black Divine Pillar. Even if you were included, there were only 9 of them. And among the 8 people before you, they all comprehended a secret technique from the golden characters on the Black Divine Pillar, but most of the secret techniques they comprehended were incomplete. In most cases, they could only obtain about 30 to 40% of a secret technique. Even the most powerful ones could only comprehend 70% of a secret technique. Chapter 3101. Inquiry _ Over the years, only 8 people have seen the Black Divine Pillar, and the most powerful person has only comprehended 70% of a secret skill? Jian Wushuang was stunned. He finally knew why Emoshan was so shocked. It seemed that no one had ever comprehended a complete secret skill under the Black Divine Pillar. "My friend, do you know who has comprehended 70% of a secret skill under the Black Divine Pillar?" Emoshan asked with a smile. "Who is it?" Jian Wushuang asked. "It's one of the 3 palace masters of the Heaven-Cleaving 3 palaces, Palace Master Shuyun." Emoshan said. Jian Wushuang was shocked. Although he had not really entered the Heaven-Cleaving 3 palaces, he had heard from Emoshan that the 3 palace masters were very powerful. The 3 palace masters of the Heaven-Cleaving 3 palaces were super existences in the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance, second only to the mysterious master. They had great power and status in the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. Although Jian Wushuang did not know how powerful the 3 palace masters were, he could guess that they were definitely at the top of the divine beginning world. Perhaps for some special reasons, they were not as strong as the 3 most noble masters of the Saint Realm in the 3rd heaven, but they were definitely not much weaker. Such a super existence had only comprehended 70% of a secret skill under the Black Divine Pillar. Palace Master Shueyun is a true genius. He was once one of the genius disciples of the 3 palaces of Heaven-Cleaving Mystic Realm. When he was under the Black Divine Pillar of the Heaven-Cleaving Mystic Realm, he comprehended 70% of that secret skill. That secret skill became his famous ultimate move in the future. Until now, his secret skill has been well known in the divine beginning world. Many people immediately thought of his move when they mentioned Palace Master Shuyun. It can be said that the reason why Palace Master Shueyun is so famous in the divine beginning world and why so many people are afraid of him is largely because of his secret skill. However, he has only comprehended 70% of that secret skill? Emoshan exclaimed. Jian Wushuang could not help taking a deep breath. Palace Master Shueyun had also comprehended 70% of the secret skill from the golden characters in the Black Divine Column, but he had already achieved such a great reputation. But now, he had obtained a complete secret skill, 6 Paths Reincarnation. When I was in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, I knew that this secret skill was very terrifying, even comparable to the space-time divine skill. Now it seems that I did not underestimate this secret skill. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands, feeling a trace of surprise in his heart. He had indeed picked up a treasure this time. In any case, you were able to obtain a complete secret skill under the Black Divine Pillar. This luck and fortune is indeed unprecedented. Congratulations, little guy, Emo Shan said with a smile. Jian Wushuang smiled, but suddenly his expression changed. Elder Emo Shan, I have already been to the heaven-cleaving mystic realm and obtained the opportunity. If nothing goes wrong, I will leave the heaven-cleaving star soon. But before that, I want to ask you something. What is it? Emo Shan appeared to be very patient. Senior, you should know about the Supreme Emotion Valley, right? Jian Wushuang asked. Yes, I know. Emo Shan nodded. Although the sect is in the second heaven and is not in the highest third heaven, the reputation and strength of the sect is no less than those overlords in the third heaven. Of course I know about such a powerful sect. But, are you asking about the relationship between the Supreme Emotion Valley and the Supreme Emotion Valley? A little. Jian Wushuang nodded. Senior, can you tell me about the Supreme Emotion Valley in detail, including their overall strength and the cultivation techniques they practice? Overall strength? Emo Shan raised his eyebrows. I have just told you that the overall strength of the Supreme Emotion Valley is no less than some overlords in the third heaven, the 3 holy regions, the 4 divine clans, and the octagonal heaven sect. Although the Supreme Emotion Valley is not as powerful as the 3 holy regions and the 4 divine clans, it is not much weaker than the octagonal heaven sect. In terms of experts, there are more than 10 known principles masters in the Supreme Emotion Valley. There are also some guest elders who have accumulated all kinds of human relationships over the years. Of course, in the Supreme Emotion Valley, the one who is the scariest, even the 3 great holy regions, the 4 great celestial races, and even our heaven-cleaving alliance are afraid of, is the reclusive Old Valley Master in the Supreme Emotion Valley. Although the Old Valley Master hasn't asked for the truth for a long time, her strength is very terrifying. How terrifying? Jian Wushuang asked. It's not inferior to the 3 palace masters of the heaven-cleaving 3 palaces. Moreover, if that old woman really goes crazy, even if the 3 palace masters of the heaven-cleaving alliance come personally, they will have to avoid her because the divine skill she has mastered is too powerful. If she recklessly uses that divine skill, she can pose a threat to even a Saint Realm Master, Emo Shan said. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang's pupils constricted. He had long known that there was a very terrifying divine skill in the valley. Lung Rushuang had been taken away by the valley because she was suitable to cultivate that divine skill. Senior Emo Shan, I heard that most of the disciples of the valley have to abandon their feelings? Jian Wushuang asked again. Yes. Emo Shan nodded. Both the disciples and the experts of the Supreme Emotion Valley have no partners. This has something to do with the cultivation method and some secret skills cultivated by the Supreme Emotion Valley. Especially the divine skill cultivated by the Old Valley Master, which can't be touched at all. But even wild beasts have some feelings, let alone humans. Therefore, there are too few people in this world who are suitable to cultivate that divine skill. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang could not help clenching his hands. My young friend, it seems that you have not only a dispute with the Supreme Emotion Valley, but also a big one, right? Emo Shan looked at Jian Wushuang. Seeing that Jian Wushuang was silent, Emo Shan continued, My young friend, no matter what grudges you have with the Supreme Emotion Valley, I have to remind you not to be impulsive. The Supreme Emotion Valley is very strong, and most of the people there are cold, ruthless, and decisive. With your current strength, you are nothing in front of the Supreme Emotion Valley. I know. Jian Wushuang nodded heavily, then he asked, Senior Emo Shan, one last question. If I want to have a fair conversation with them, what level do I have to reach? A fair conversation with them? Emoshan frowned and pondered for a moment, then he answered, "At the very least, you have to be an invincible immortal saint to make them not dare to underestimate you. As for a fair conversation, the Lord of Principles." Chapter 3102, Three Palace Masters Under the Principal's Master? Jian Wushuang clenched his fists tightly. Only the Principal's Master was qualified to have a face-to-face conversation with the Supreme Emotion Valley. However, Lung Rushuang was the second person whom the Supreme Emotion Valley had spent a long time and effort to find who could cultivate the supreme divine skill. She was too important to the valley. The valley would not let Jian Wushuang take such an important person away, even if he was a Principal's Master. After all, a Principal's Master could only talk to the valley face-to-face, but he could not make the valley fear him. If he wanted to take Lung Rushuang away, he had to at least have the strength to make the valley fear him. Jian Wushuang conservatively estimated that he had to at least reach the strength of the three palace masters of the heaven-cleaving three palaces. I'm only a rank 3 true saint now. I'm still far from that level. Jian Wushuang's face was cold, but he was not discouraged at all. "Thank you for telling me, Elder Mo Shan," Jian Wushuang said gratefully. "You're welcome." Mo Shan waved his hand and then looked at the peak true saint next to him. "Take this little guy away." "Yes." The peak true saint immediately went forward to take Jian Wushuang away. Mo Shan watched Jian Wushuang leave and sighed, "Send this little guy away, and I can report back." In an extremely magnificent palace, there were tall steps on top of the palace. At the top of the steps, 3 thrones stood side by side. There was a blurry figure on each of the thrones. It was the 3 palace masters. Below the palace, Missouri Shan stood respectfully and said, "Palace Master, the little guy has left the heaven-cleaving star." "Has he left?" A low voice came from the throne in the center. "How long has he stayed in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm? What opportunities did he get?" Mo Shan immediately told the truth about Jian Wushuang's opportunities in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. It included the breakthrough in Jian Wushuang's strength and the fact that he had comprehended a complete secret skill under the Black Divine Pillar. After hearing Mo Shan's words, the 3 palace masters' expressions remained unchanged. "All right, you may leave," the palace master in the center said. "Yes." Mo Shan nodded and disappeared from the palace with a slight shake of his body. After Mo Shan left, the 3 palace masters began to chat casually. "You actually obtained the inheritance of a complete secret technique under the Black Divine Pillar. Shui Yun, this little fellow is even more powerful than you, right?" The palace master sitting in the middle teased. "I obtained the secret technique Monarch Water under the Black Divine Pillar back then, and I've benefited immensely from it ever since. Even now, this secret technique is still my strongest technique. Unfortunately, I've only comprehended 70% of this secret technique back then. If I could obtain the complete secret technique, my strength would be able to rise to another level. At that time, I wouldn't be afraid even if I were to fight a Saint Realm Master directly," the Palace Master on the left said, only Palace Master Shuiyun sighed. "This secret technique of yours is indeed very terrifying. It might not be comparable to the divine technique of that old woman from the Supreme Emotion Valley, but it is not too far off either. The secret technique that this little fellow named Heavenly Sword Marquis obtained from the Black Divine Pillar's golden characters should not be inferior to your secret technique, Monarch Water," said the Palace Master on the right. "That's for sure." Palace Master Shuiyun nodded slightly. This little fellow obtained a complete secret technique from the Black Divine Pillar. Furthermore, the talent and strength he displayed now are much stronger than mine. In terms of talent and potential, he is much more outstanding than me. I don't know what that old sorcerer god is thinking, but the 3 great holy regions, the 3 great Saint Realm Masters, took advantage of the Temporal Temple Master and the Heavenly Ancestor to go to the cosmic battlefield. Now they are acting more and more unscrupulously. Aren't they just relying on the existence of the Heavenly Tao will behind them? What the heck? The Palace Master in the middle cursed in a low voice. "Will of the Heavenly Tao? Sooner or later, My heaven-cleaving alliance will go against the heavenly Tao and kill this heavenly Tao. Chapter 3103. Easy mission. After leaving the heaven-cleaving star, Jian Wushuang returned to the first heaven, but his mood was quite heavy. The Supreme Emotion Valley is extremely powerful. If I want to take Shuang Air away, I need to have the strength of the 3 palace masters of the heaven-cleaving 3 palaces. But I'm still far from that level. My strength is still too weak after all. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands tightly. It took him a long time to calm down. The trip to the heaven-cleaving mystic realm not only allowed me to obtain the secret skill 6 paths of reincarnation, but also increased my strength greatly. I've reached the level of a rank 3 true saint and made so many breakthroughs in my realm. Then my strength should be in a leap period now, Jian Wushuang muttered. Previously he was only a first-level true saint. But whether it was his comprehension of the principles, understanding of the Tao, or even in the absolute arts, he was far beyond his realm. Because he was far beyond his realm, it caused his improvement speed to become slower and slower. For example, when the water in the water bottle was full, it was naturally impossible to continue filling it. However, it would be completely different if he replaced it with a big water bottle. Once Jian Wushuang broke through his realm and broke through 2 realms at the same time, his comprehension of the principles and Tao would naturally have a lot of room for improvement. Moreover, he had just broken through, so the improvement was usually very fast. That was why it was called the leap period. Now I can find a place to concentrate on improving my strength. It would be best if I have some proper training. Jian Wushuang smiled and suddenly, his expression changed. It's been a long time since I've completed a mission of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. Let's go and take a look. Jian Wushuang immediately set off. The secret lair of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance was located in every corner of the divine beginning world. Naturally, there were many in the first heaven. Jian Wushuang easily found one of the secret lairs. In the secret lairs, Jian Wushuang sat alone at the table with a list of heaven-level missions in his hand. There were countless heaven-level tasks on the list. It's no wonder that there are so many heaven-level tasks in the first heaven. Jian Wushuang sighed and began to read carefully. One heaven-level task after another passed through Jian Wushuang's eyes. These heaven-level tasks varied in difficulty from 1 star to 3 stars, so the rewards were naturally different. Jian Wushuang carefully searched for nearly an hour on this list of missions and finally found a mission that was more suitable for him. This mission was a heaven-level 2-star mission. Under normal circumstances, only a true saint above rank 4 could complete a heaven-level 2-star mission alone. However, the heaven-level 2-star mission that Jian Wushuang chose did not specify the number of people. In other words, whether it was 1 person or 10 people, they could complete the mission. As for the content of the mission, it was to go to a country and serve as a guard for 100 years. A guard mission? Jian Wushuang looked at the mission content with interest. From the information given by the mission, it was said to be a guard mission, but in fact, it was just a helper hired by others. In addition, it did not need to do anything on a daily basis, as long as it was at a critical time. In addition, the mission did not require him to run around. When he had nothing to do, Jian Wushuang could cultivate on his own and no one would care about him. In other words, the mission was more comfortable and free. As for the reward, it was not low, but Jian Wushuang did not care about the reward. Let's do this mission. Jian Wushuang made up his mind. He immediately accepted the mission and went directly to that country. As soon as he stepped into the mansion, Jian Wushuang immediately sensed that there were a lot of experts' auras hidden in the mansion. There are so many experts. There seem to be dozens of them who are rank 3 true saints and above. There are even rank 4 true saints and rank 5 true saints in this mansion. Jian Wushuang revealed a surprised look. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.